someone new, baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Oh yeah, take you like a pill.
Hello, welcome everyone. I am Brandon Blitz. I'm a variety streamer. I stream on lots of video games such as Minecraft, Need for Speed, pretty much both anything like modern, like from modern AAA to indie games to even retro games as well. As well as I draw art and do programming. And soon I'll be streaming 3D modeling. Well, as soon as I get used to Blender. Anyways, how's everyone been? Hopefully everyone's been doing okay. Where is my actual voltage? Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, there, I don't know. Okay, do this. I set up. There we go. There's setup. There we go. I gotta make sure, you know. There we go. Oh, come on, allow me to fix my goddamn model. Thank you. Oh, Nutcracker in half. Well, recently I just got home. I just got home from work, so I'm pretty exhausted from work, so I'll take an hour or two to relax, to just calm down, relax, and then we'll get straight into coding, programming. Brain. Brain can't brain today.
Let's get right into it. Number 7. You don't fear failure. Here's a dark secret. Failure hurts more than stepping on a Lego in the middle of the night. That's why most people avoid risk like it's radioactive. They'd rather stay in their comfy bubble than gamble on something that might flop. But if you've learned to fail repeatedly, dramatically, maybe even publicly, and not let it shatter you, that's one of the strongest mental flexes out there. Failure tolerance is basically the mental equivalent of having calluses. The more times you've hit the ground, the less scary it is to fall again. Psychologists tie this to something called growth mindset. It's the belief that your abilities aren't fixed, they can improve with effort. This mindset see failure as data, like the universe handing you cheat codes in the form.
And why do you think AI exists, huh? Anyways, jokes aside, yeah, I have the growth mindset too.
Of mistakes. Instead of I suck, it's cool, now I know what not to do. Meanwhile, people who fear failure end up stuck. They never start projects, never confess crushes, never try anything outside their lane because the possibility of messing up feels like death. You, on the other hand, you fail, shrug, maybe order some fries, and try again. Failure doesn't define you, it refines you. And that's a level of resilience that makes you practically bulletproof, in the psychological sense, not the go wrestle a bear sense. Please don't wrestle a bear. Number 6. You're okay
Please do not wrestle a bear unless you are Russian.
being alone. Let's be honest, a shocking number of people treat being alone like it's a contagious disease. They'll drag themselves to awful dates, hang out with toxic friends, or binge watch shows with strangers on Twitch just to avoid sitting in silence with their own brain. But if you can spend time by yourself without going stir-crazy, you're carrying a mental strength badge most people don't earn. Alone time isn't about isolation, it's about independence. It means you don't need constant noise, constant company, or constant stimulation to feel real. Psychologists call this low need for affiliation. It doesn't mean you hate people, it means you don't fear your own thoughts. And that's rare. Most people avoid solitude because when things get quiet, all their insecurities crawl out like raccoons at midnight.
Or basically, in my case, all of my past experiences end up crawling back to me, no matter how much I want to forget it. But with time, I learned to come to terms with that.
But if you can handle it, it means you've made peace with yourself. Plus, people who can't be alone are exhausting. They'll text WID 45 times in an hour because the silence is too much to bear. You're thriving, ordering takeout for one, watching a movie without compromise, maybe even talking to your plants because, hey, they get you. Basically, being okay with solitude is like emotional Wi-Fi. You don't need to connect to someone else's signal just to function. That's not loneliness, that's freedom. Number 5. You don't chase revenge. Picture this. Someone cuts you off in traffic, nearly turning your car into a modern art sculpture, and instead of speeding up to glare at them through the window like an enraged meerkat, you just let it go.
I still kind of do that. If hi, hi, Rye, how are you? Rar. Hi. Yeah, uh, as I was saying, I still kind of road rage a little bit. If it depends on what kind of stupidity they're doing. If it's severely stupid, if it's severely stupid, I try to stay away. If it's hey, I saw you do that, so I'm gonna put up a middle finger, but I'm not gonna bother speeding up to you. Not crying. I mean, that's a not crying. Yeah, and that's an achievement in itself, right? I'm proud of you, and give you a hug, and give you head pats. You're a good boy. You're a good boy today.
That's not weakness. That's terrifying strength. Revenge feels good in theory because your brain loves the idea of restoring balance. It's basically your inner toddler screaming, "They took my toy. I want theirs." But acting on it keeps you stuck in what psychologists call rumination, replaying the offense in your head like a
Yeah,
broken TikTok loop. And the longer you stew, the more rent-free space you give the villain in your brain. Mentally strong
I
people don't
tried.
bother with that.
Yeah,
They understand the darker truth. Revenge rarely fixes anything. The jerk who wronged you won't suddenly realize the depth of their sins and beg forgiveness. They'll
mm-hmm.
just keep being a jerk, while you wasted energy plotting like a cartoon supervillain. Forgiveness here doesn't mean you're best friends again, or that you approve of what happened. It just means you refuse to carry their garbage around in your mental backpack. Letting go is a power move, because it frees up brain space for better things, like pizza or conspiracy.
Yeah, not cr- and that's like I said, that's an achievement, and I am proud of you. There are times where I have uh I basically became an emotional mess and bawled my eyes out, even if even if I'm doing something innocuous like playing Lego Star Wars. I could rarely have a one triggering thought, and then I'm an emotional mess. So yeah, I am proud of you. I know.
Theories about pigeons. So if you can shrug off slights instead of building a 37-step vendetta plan, congratulations, you're not weak. You're just operating at a higher software version than most humans. Number 4, you don't need
Yeah, and then again, and also be be aware that you whatever you're feeling, you all of your emotions are valid. Even moment to moment feelings are valid. And don't bottle up your emotions. Um not only let it out, but also a process of why it's happening. And figure out not to avoid it, but to understand it. To understand and embrace it. Da-da-da. Ba-da-ba. Why didn't it play out? Hold on. I have sound alerts. Properties. Also my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite theme too. I guess it does play on the stream, but I don't. I guess I don't hear it. Also, yeah, I need to put more redeems on there. Probably. I'll probably do more redeems, but I'm gonna take like 2 hours to relax because I just got home from work and I'm exhausted.
Constant validation. Picture this. You post a photo online. You look decent. Lighting is doing you favors. And the caption is clever. Now, the average person will spend the next 3 hours refreshing like a slot machine, panicking if they don't break 20 likes. But if you post it and then forget about it, that's a flex most people don't even realize you're pulling. Here's why it matters. The human brain is wired to crave approval. Getting likes, compliments, or even a nod from someone is basically a dopamine snack. But mentally strong people
There's so
aren't
many
starving
channel
for it.
redeems yet.
They don't hinge their entire self-worth.
There's so many channel redeems yet. I redeemed the only good and stretch mate. See, yeah, thank you. Stretch. Yeah. And also Emma, Rye. Sorry, Rye. You're a good boy. You are a good boy. I give you head pats. Here you go. Here's some head pats. You're a good boy. Good boy. What? Alright. Yeah, I have a plane on my phone here. Make sure the stream is good, going well.
On outside validation, which is what psychologists call internal locus of control. Translation: you get your sense of value from yourself, not from random Karen liking your selfie. This doesn't
You
mean
might
you're
hear
some
random stuff.
emotionless robot who never wants praise. It just means you're not dependent on it. You can enjoy approval without needing it to function, like how you can enjoy pizza without spiraling into a breakdown if someone hands you salad instead. And let's be real, people who constantly chase validation.
Oh no, it's not it. It's Chill Dude's second channel called Chill Dude Shadow Mode. I think he has like 3 channels. It's Chill Dude Explains, Chill Dude Shadow Mode, and Chill Dude something psychology. Chill, yeah.
Are like human Tamagotchi.
I used to watch Site to Go, but they basically they basically how do I explain this? They went off the rails with something. They went off the rails with something. So yeah.
You have to feed them nonstop attention or they collapse. But you're basically solar powered. You generate your own light whether or not anyone's clapping. That's a level of strength most people never reach. Number 3, you laugh at yourself first. Imagine tripping over your own shoelaces in public. The average person has 2 responses. 1, pretend it didn't happen while sprinting away like the floor betrayed them. Or 2, die internally for the next 37 years. But if
Yeah, it's still Chill to explain. It's still Chill to explained. I can show you. I can show you real quick. Chill to explains. Yeah, I believe he has his channels. Yeah, Chill to Dark Mode. Oh, he has an Espanol channel. Nice. But yeah.
you burst out laughing before anyone else does, that's not just comic timing, that's psychological armor. Self-deprecating humor is like emotional judo. Instead of letting embarrassment flip you onto your face, you flip it back on the world. By laughing at yourself, you rob the universe of its power to humiliate you. Psychologists even have a term for this, adaptive humor style. It means you're using humor not as a weapon against others, but as a shield for yourself. Here's the dark twist. Though this
Alright.
ability comes from resilience, you've probably been through enough awkwardness, failure, or random life chaos that your brain learned to stop panicking and just crack jokes. When you can laugh at yourself, it means you've got perspective. You know that one clumsy moment, one mistake, one failure isn't the end of your story. It's just a blooper reel. And honestly, people who can't laugh at themselves are exhausting. They turn every tiny slip into a Shakespearean tragedy. You're already busy writing the stand-up routine in your head. That's not weakness. That's mental strength disguised as comedy. Number 2, you don't overshare your drama. We all know someone who treats Facebook like a confessional booth. They post things like, "Don't ask what's wrong. If you care, you'd already know," which is basically fishing for attention with emotional dynamite. If that makes you cringe, and you've never felt the urge to publicly announce that your boss
You
gave
hear
you
that?
side-eye or that your ex still owes you for
Alright.
Taco Bell, congrats.
Yeah,
You
it's
might be
enough.
mentally stronger than the population average. Here's the deal. The ability to hold back your drama isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about emotional regulation. Strong-minded
Yeah.
people don't need to offload every wave of frustration onto the internet or
Yeah.
onto random coworkers who never asked.
Just like me.
Instead, they're capable of processing emotions internally, picking their battles, and only sharing what's actually constructive. Think about it. If you vent every time something annoys you, you're basically giving the world free rent inside your head. But if you keep your drama private, you're showing that your emotions belong to you, not to the peanut gallery of Instagram comments. Ironically, people might assume you're guarded or hard to read, but the truth is, you just don't believe in turning your trauma into a soap opera with an unlimited season renewal. Mental strength often looks boring from the outside,
Yeah.
but trust me, boring beats broadcasting your meltdowns like it's reality TV. Number 1, you secretly love awkward silence.
Invisibility. Aw, but Rye, I want to deal with you. We could have horrible mental illness together. I'm sorry. That's why. Why? Oh no. Anywho. Anywho. Um. Oh my God. But yeah. I think another thing. At the end, for me, at the end of the day, all I have is myself. So now I have no choice but to deal with myself, whether I like it or not. I'm totally sane. I am totally sane. You don't need to worry about me, chat. I am totally sane. I'm sane in the membrane.
Picture this. You're at a party. Someone says something deeply weird like, "I collect belly button lint in mason jars," and the conversation dies faster than a goldfish in bleach. Everyone looks around, panicking, reaching for their phones, or blurting out weather talk to fill the void. But not you. You just sip your drink like an evil mastermind, waiting for the awkwardness to fully mature. Like
Well, you have to. You have to do. Right, right. Bry, you have to live because I told you so. You thought that one slipped past me? You have to live because I told you so. Because I told you so. Because I said so. You have to live. Because I said so. No. Don't know me. Yes. It's a yes. You have to live because I told you so. As your mother, you have to live because I told you so. Be a good boy and live and live, okay? You want to be a bad boy? You want to be a bad boy? No, that not on my watch. You gotta live. You gotta live. Be a good boy and have the will to live. If only you could call me good. If, if only you could call it good. If that's what it takes, if that's what it takes, you're a good boy. You gotta live. You have to live because I told you so. All right, all right. Oh, what's my settings? Here we go. Fine. I can't promise anything. Well, the saying. Well, there is a saying. You don't make a girl promise you know you can't keep. However, that does not apply to mothers. I'm your mom. If you make a promise, you're gonna keep it, whether you like it or not. You're gonna live. You're gonna live. Oh, I just reminded myself of something. Hold on. Let me play this. Let me play. I just reminded myself of something. You're probably. I'm probably already a better mom than your mom ever was. Oh, dead. Cool. You're. Here, I just reminded myself of this.
Uzi time, baby.
All right. There we go.
Uzi time, baby.
I just reminded myself of this.
I think I'm hit. No shit. You did that on purpose. I did no such thing. Listen to me, gorgeous. How long does it take for you to regenerate? Regenerate?
Oh no.
You really are God's perfect idiot, aren't you? I'm okay. How dare you, you insensitive son of a bitch. How was I supposed to know he doesn't regenerate? I'm not a medicine woman. Look, a donut cart. They're practically hospitals. They sell port. Shit, you're dead weight. It's because I'm paralyzed. We all have problems. Listen to me. You're gonna live.
You're gonna live.
Look at me, nice fool. You're gonna live.
You're gonna live.
Say it. I'm gonna live. Say it with me. You're gonna live.
This is you, and this is me. You're gonna live.
Say it louder. Gonna live.
I'm sorry. I was reminded of that. You're gonna live. You're gonna live. What?
That's not just you being socially lazy. That's mental strength in disguise. Here's why. Most people can't handle silence. It makes them feel exposed, judged, or like they have to perform in order to earn their spot in the group. But if you can sit there and not combust from the sheer lack of noise, it means your self-worth isn't duct-taped to everyone else's approval. In psychology, this is linked to something called low social anxiety reactivity. Basically, your brain doesn't scream, "We're all gonna die" when things go quiet. Instead, it's like, nice pause, good chance to breathe. That calmness is emotional armor. It shows you don't need to constantly control other people's perceptions to feel okay. So yeah, people might label you weirdly chill or mysterious when you don't scramble to rescue a dead conversation. But in reality, you're just flexing your ability to survive the one thing most humans...
Yeah, I wanna be. I don't know if you're gonna tell me to live. You're gonna live! You know what to do. Oh no, I should never give you that idea. How about Deadpool doesn't put you in harm's way? You're gonna live. Not like that, but you're gonna live. I'm gonna make you live. I'm gonna make you live every second of your life until you grow old. I'm gonna make you live. As your mom, I'm gonna make you live. I'm gonna make you live. Live, you son of a bitch. Parents saying children. No, if parents say that, it would be more like, "You're gonna live for me to find. You're gonna live long enough for me to financially abuse you." I like my stepdad did that to me anyway. So yeah. No. Hey, Gen X and Boomers, they see you as a secondary bank account, not an actual child. Some actually there's a rare the rare ones see you actually actual human beings, while the rest just sees you as a secondary bank account. It's a second bank account.
But never zero. Same goes for the slide itself. 1997 in California, there was a high school named Napa. At that time, the senior students were preparing to graduate. But few days earlier, teachers came into class and announced that the school would organize a water park trip before graduation. That park was one of the largest water park at that time. Among the student was 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚, an 18-year-old honor student known to everyone as the Pink Princess. On June 2nd, all the seniors gathered at school, because that was the day of the trip. 3 buses arrived to take them there. After about a 90-minute bus ride, as the students got off, they went straight to the park and spent the whole day enjoying themselves. By late afternoon, when they were still playing, a teacher announced over a loudspeaker that all Napa High School students should prepare to leave. While students were gathering their things, one student ran up to a teacher and said that many classmates had not yet come back from the water. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the park. Teacher went over to witness a horrific scene. Many people were lying on the ground, injured, twisted. Among them were students from Napa High School. Here's what had happened. A group of about 25 to 30 students had decided not to play normally, but to attempt to set a record. They chose the tallest slide in the park, called the 𝙂𝙤 slide. Their goal was to set a record
I didn't know the students were falling objects.
for the most people.
No, the video too. No, the video right on your screen. No.
Sliding down at the same time. Ignoring security guards' warnings, they climbed to the top, held hands, and began sliding down together. Just a short way down, the slide cracked and broke apart. They fell from a height of 10 to 20 meters, and because they were holding hands, almost everyone was pulled down together. In total, about 32 students were injured, and 1 student died. That student was 𝙂𝙂𝙖. What made this worse is that 𝙂𝙂𝙖 was an only child. Her mother said, on that day, 𝙂𝙂𝙖 called home during school trips multiple times because she missed her. After that, the park underwent major safety improvements.
No. No. I will drag you out of the water park before you even get to do that. I will cradle you and hold you, or hold you like Mr. Krabs, and carry you right above me and drag you out of the water park. I will not let you do that. Nuh-uh. That's too dangerous. I will not let I will not let my children do that. I will not let all my children do that. No. Mm-mm. Nuh-uh. Nope. Mm-mm. I don't want to be a bad mother and have and and burying my children. No, no, fuck that. No, as your mom, I will not allow you to do that. Mm-mm. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Mm-mm. Nuh-uh. I'm not gonna allow that. Uh-uh. I will drag you out of the water park, bring you to a restaurant, and have a very good meal, have a very good like lunch, whatnot and whatnot. I'll not allow you to hurt. I'll not allow you to hurt yourself. Nope, nope, nada, nope. Cause I said so. Cause I said so. I don't want you to get hurt. All right. I don't want you to get hurt and injured. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. No. No.
Improvements. They even changed the name to avoid public association with the disaster. Here's the new name. It
Wait.
was avoid public association with the disaster. Here's the new name.
Sixth. Oh my god, that's even worse! That's even worse! Hurricane Harbor, yes. Hurricane. A human hurricane. Yeah, that's no food. A little late for not letting me. No. What do you mean? You gotta eat. You gotta eat. What do you want to eat? I'll make you eat something. What do you want to eat? You gotta eat. Oh, fuck.
It was the morning of March 27th, 2018, in Bethnal Green, East London. Michaela Bohr had just dropped her child at nursery and went on a walk with a friend along Burdett Road. At the same time, on a nearby Higgins Homes construction site, a tower crane was moving a pallet stacked with
Oh
more than
no.
2 tons of bricks toward a loading bay on the 5th story. You might have thought the brick was going to fall and end Michaela's life, right? Only if there wasn't any safety net there. Well, you're right. Without any sign, the load.
I was sick earlier. The second thing, I invoked the fifth. Were you forcing yourself to throw up? I get you're sick, yes. At least eat some crackers. At least eat some crackers or something. Drink some tea. I don't want you eating I don't want you forcing yourself to throw up more than you already have to. No. Throw up whatever bad food you end up eating. Eat some good food. If you want, I can give you some milk. What kind of milk? You're gonna have to guess.
Load gave away, and hundreds of bricks rained down from 5 stories high. Some slammed into the site itself. Others spilled over the edge and crashed onto the pavement below. Michaela's friend fell.
No, I threw up. Oh. Oh, so you Taco Bell'd your toilet to pieces. Got it. I'm sorry, I had to describe it that way. Guess mom. Mom. I mean, you gotta guess what kind of milk you're gonna get. Between the numbers between 1, 2, and 3. You gotta guess. I can give you some milk, but you gotta guess what kind of milk you're gonna get. I
One brick hit her hand and stumbled back in shock, but Michaela was caught directly in the path. In a blink, she was buried beneath rubble. Emergency crews fought to revive her at the scene before rushing her to hospital, but the impact from bricks falling nearly 50 feet, each one striking with the force of a car crash, was too much. By the next day, she had passed away. 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚, Italy, in 1998.
actually read about About that, the bricks incident. No, kind of way. You're being a bit too late. This thing is it milk like, or is it you count metal? Oh, were you throwing up your stomach acid? I had that happen to me. I threw up my stomach acid quite a number of times. It does sting. It does sting a lot. Is it milk or is it yogurt? I don't know. Put on blindfold to find out. No, no, that sentence I just said, that was literally what my one of my exes told me. I don't know. Okay, I asked him, okay, what kind of milk is it? He said, he told me, I don't know. I don't know. Put on this blindfold and find out. No, dude. No, it's a way. I taught myself it. um, I'm I'm sorry. I'm too autistic to understand. I'm too autistic to understand. I'm sorry. I'm too autistic to understand. Blindfold. Oh, blind. Yeah. Imagine being blindfolded and questioning why something's going, why you're being choked by something. By figure. All right. Again, imagine being blindfolded and questioning why you're being forced to eat something. Also, thank you, Stream Elements. All right.
A U.S. Navy EA-6B Prowler aircraft was conducting low-altitude training flights. Low-level flying is a difficult technique because pilots must avoid obstacles like mountains, birds, or power lines. That day, after all checks looked fine, they began the training near a mountain range in Italy. It was winter. While flying, the pilots heard a loud impact, but because they were flying so fast, they didn't know what they had hit. Since the aircraft still seemed operational, they returned to base. Once back, they saw the wing had a severe tear. They couldn't figure out what they had collided with, so the matter was dropped. Meanwhile, in 𝙂𝙚𝙣, a small town in the Dolomites, there was a cable car system used by skiers and tourists.
Oh no.
A guard noticed something strange. Many people were going down on the cable cars, but nobody was coming back up. Alarmed, he called other staff. When rescue workers went to investigate, they discovered a horrific scene. A cable car had crashed to the ground. About 20 people were inside, and all 20 had died. Investigators found that one of the cables had been chopped. Witnesses reported seeing a military aircraft flying low in the area. It turned out that the EA-6B Prowler had flown too low and struck the cable, slicing it in two. At that moment, a car carrying 20 passengers was ascending the mountain. With the cable cut, it plunged 80 meters to the ground, the cable. Inside the plane, there should have been a recording of the flight. However, upon returning to base, one of the crew members secretly took the tape home and burned it, afraid of what it might reveal. The pilots were later tried, but acquitted on grounds that it was an accident. Still, they were dismissed from the military and banned from flying ever again.
Oh, that is like forced or willingly doing it. It's it it's a consensual kind of forced. Wink, wink.
20 years and 2,671 kilometers away from the previous incident. Winters in Moscow are long and merciless. Snow piles up on rooftops, and sheets of ice cling to buildings for months at a time. It's a familiar sight and danger. A father was walking his young son home from kindergarten. The two bundled against the cold. As they passed a 9-story apartment block, the silence was interrupted. A massive slab of ice, weighing several hundred kilograms, broke free from the roof and came crashing down. It struck straight in the sun direction. Yet in those final seconds, Dad's body shielded his son. The child survived, unharmed physically, but left standing in shock beside his father's body. Neighbors rushed to comfort him as authorities quickly sealed off the street. News of the tragedy spread fast, sparking outrage. But similar incidents had been reported across Russian cities that winter, and residents placed the blame squarely on negligent building managers who failed to clear rooftops of snow and icicles. The fury forced Moscow's mayor's office to promise stricter enforcement, but the danger never disappeared. Even today, falling ice remains a silent killer in Russian winters as well as other places. In a small village near Guwahati, Assam, a farmer worked quietly in the fields. It was a clear day. Nothing in the sky suggested what was about to come from it. Out of nowhere, an object came hurtling down. A massive blue-veined rock struck him straight in the face. People around ran to him in horror. On the ground beside him lay shattered pieces of what looked like a meteor, chunks of solid ice, weighing nearly 30 kilograms in total. A man whose life was born from a star, claimed by one itself. The scene was documented.
Oh, what the fuck? I like this scene. I mean, after being willingly forced to not breathe, I didn't get a taste of something good. I'm not gonna describe what it is, but yeah, you can guess. Also, right, I give you hugs. Mama loves you very much. You'll always be Mama's good boy, okay? I give you headpats. Here you go. Here's the headpats. Come on, you're a good boy.
And the story of a cosmic death began making its way through local news. People treated the object with awe. But days later, tests revealed the fragments weren't cosmic at all. In fact, they were human waste, mixed with blue chemical disinfectants, known in aviation circles as blue ice. When an airplane's sewage system leaks at
Oh
high
no.
altitude, the waste can freeze instantly in sub-zero air, forming massive blocks of ice. As the plane descends into warmer air, those blocks can break off and plummet to the ground like falling boulders. That's what
Jesus.
struck the farmer. Not a gift from the stars, but a shit block from a passing airliner's toilet. The cause of his death comforted his family at first, but later, the truth turned it into immense sorrow. Yet, even in this truth, a lesson remained. His family learned, as all grieving families do, that death often comes without reason, warning, or the chance to prepare. Not every loss carries a moral or a warning to be cautious. Those cases weren't meant to stop you from living your life, but to live your life so fully that even sudden death like this will leave a no regret.
Yeah. I know very well what you mean. Oh. I mean, it would be a very hot way to go. I wouldn't recommend it, but it would be a very hot way to go. All right. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Matane. Okay. Okay. These games are still awful. What if Palpatine was a Jedi? Really? What if Palpatine was a Jedi? Enjoy
What if
yourself.
Palpatine was a Jedi? In The Phantom Menace,
Enjoy your sleep. Matinee.
we witnessed Palpatine become the Chancellor, and over the years, he operated in the shadows, starting the Clone Wars and controlling both sides of the war the entire time. Eventually, his grand plan worked, and he soon became the Emperor, as he and the Sith finally ruled the galaxy. But what if things were different? What if Palpatine was a Jedi? How different would things have been if he was never a Sith and became a Jedi instead? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into, so let's get right into it. Our story begins just 2 years after Palpatine's birth, and the
Originally, night, matinee. Oyasumi nasai, 𝙂𝙚 It means good night, sweet dreams.
rich lush planet of Naboo. At the age of 2, Sheev Palpatine was a curious young boy, but little did he know his life was about to change. One day, as he was at home with both his mother and his father, they received a knock on the door by an unexpected guest. However, this guest was like no other. This guest was a Jedi. To many, the Jedi only existed in fairy tales, and it was rare that you'd ever be able to see one face to face. So what was a Jedi doing at the home of the Palpatines? What could they possibly want? The Palpatine family wasn't sure, but as Sheev's father, 𝙂𝙚 Palpatine, opened the door, he'd soon get his answers.
Master Jedi, what a surprise this is. How may we help you?
Greetings, Mr. Palpatine. I am here on behalf of your child, Sheev Palpatine. According to our records, he is identified as a Force sensitive, and I am here to offer him an opportunity to be trained as a Jedi and to join the Order.
I see. So you want my son to become a Jedi?
Under your consent, yes.
Let me tell you something, Master Jedi. Sheev has shown no sign of using the Force or whatever it's called. He has no interest in joining our order, so you can leave our home now and go back to your precious temple.
I understand, sir. However, allow me to prove you otherwise.
Dooku pulled out a gadget of some sort.
This device here allows me to detect a midichlorian count of an individual. The higher the number, the stronger the connection is in the Force. If you allow me to test it on Sheev, we can discover just how high his count is.
𝙂𝙚 paused.
Be quick.
Dooku nodded, and from there, he performed the test. Taking a small pinch of Sheev's blood, the device began to scan his midichlorian count. But then, the device began to beep. It never did this before. What was going on? However, as Dooku read what the device said, he was speechless. Sheev's midichlorian count, it was so high. A number like he's never seen before, almost as high as Master Yoda's.
Well, you clearly aren't telling me something.
Sir, my apologies, but your son, his midichlorian count is beyond anything I've seen in a child. It is extraordinarily high.
𝙂𝙚's face turned pale, almost like he saw a ghost. For the last 2 years, he always tried to brush off his son's gifts. But now, it all made sense. If what this Jedi was saying was true, then he couldn't keep Sheev around his family. No, he'd only destroy this family. 𝙂𝙚 would not allow that.
I see. Go ahead. Take him. The boy was a mistake anyways.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Me and his mother never wanted him in the first place. Unlike his siblings, Sheev has been nothing but an outcast. Take him and never bring him back. I never want to see that child again.
Dooku nodded.
However, mark my words, Jedi. This boy will be the downfall of your Jedi Order one day.
I highly doubt that, sir.
Oh, you just wait and see. He will be. He will be.
Dooku did his best to ignore him, and from there, he took the young Sheev. Bringing the boy aboard his ship, they then left Naboo and set off for Coruscant. It was now time for Sheev to begin his training as a Jedi. Eventually, Dooku arrived with the boy, but as he did, he met with Master Yoda right away. Sheev's father's words still haunted Dooku, and although it took a lot to make him worried, this was something that he just couldn't ignore. So he went to go speak with his own master.
Young Dooku, gone well your mission has, yes?
Yes, Master. Young Palpatine is with the other younglings as of right now. Just getting situated.
Good. However, troubled you seem.
Master Yoda, I tested young Palpatine's midichlorian count back on Naboo, and it was like a number I haven't seen before. It was extraordinarily high.
Strong in the Force, is he?
It would appear so. However, there's just one more issue. Before I left, the father of young Palpatine said something to me. His exact words were that his son would be the downfall of the Order one day. Although I'd normally ignore something like this, Master, there was an unusual dark presence about his father.
Hard it is for a parent to let go of their child. Difficult it is.
You think he said that out of frustration?
Perhaps, yes. However, a close eye we will keep on young Palpatine.
I agree. I suppose it's a good thing that we took him in early, rather than him reaching out.
Yeah, I just realized something. I realized how exhausted I am from work today. And I was really hoping to just start learning more about coding. I'm guessing I could probably save that for the variety stream. And probably for next week I can push, like, today is it? Friday. I can push Friday streams from 1800 to 1900, so I won't be more pressured to get home as soon as possible. So it'll give me more time to, like I said, probably gas in my car if I need to, reinflate my tires and whatnot, and probably, like, I guess, like, grocery shopping if I happen to need to go grocery shopping. I should give myself, instead of just like about 30 minutes, close to an hour, probably more close to like an hour and to an hour 15 minutes, probably.
A later age.
Yes, done well you have, Dooku. Proud of you I am. A great young man you are becoming.
Thank you, Master.
50 years had passed since young Sheev Palpatine joined the Jedi Order, and it's safe to say his life completely changed. From being born in a rich noble family on Naboo, Palpatine now quickly rose through the ranks of the Jedi Order, and at this point many considered him to be one of the greatest Jedi to ever live. Throughout his first years as a youngling, Palpatine spent a lot of time under Yoda's guidance along with the rest of the children there. That was until he reached the age of 13, when it was time for him to be appointed to a Jedi Master. However, to no surprise, Palpatine's master ended up being none other than Count Dooku, who took it upon himself to train Palpatine in the ways of the Force. Over the years, Dooku and Palpatine developed a close bond as master and apprentice, and Dooku taught him everything he knew. He taught him all about the Force, about lightsaber combat, and most of all, how to conduct himself as a young man. Because of Dooku's training, Palpatine really blossomed into a strong and powerful young Jedi throughout his teenage years. But something happened one day that shocked everyone in the Order. When it was time for Palpatine to construct his first lightsaber, most expected the color of green or blue to call out to him, since that's what happens with most Jedi. But Palpatine was a bit different. Instead, the color of yellow called out to him, which was extremely rare for a Jedi of today's age. It's said that this color represented a balance between one's wisdom and skills as a warrior, so the fact that this called out to Palpatine was a big honor. So with that, Palpatine continued under Dooku's training, and the two truly had an inseparable bond. However, there was one thing that shocked Dooku. Years ago, Palpatine's father warned Dooku that the young Sheev would be a threat to the Jedi Order, but over time he showed the complete opposite. It's almost as if Dooku was the perfect master for him and was able to control his dark side tendencies and use them for good. Because of this, Palpatine quickly became one of the most popular Jedi in the Order, and it didn't take him much time to eventually become a Jedi Knight, a Jedi Master, and even earn himself a seat on the Jedi High Council. Although Dooku himself was never on the council, mainly because he had his differences with them, he couldn't help but be so proud of his apprentice and the man he had become. In time, Palpatine had become extremely wise, and unlike Dooku, he was surprisingly a very calm and collected Jedi, which was something that nobody expected. However, despite Palpatine being so reputable in the Jedi Order, there was one thing about him that raised some eyebrows and even some concerns. Unlike most Jedi, Palpatine was gifted with an ability called precognition, which allowed him to see visions of future events and sometimes even warnings about things that may happen. Although he couldn't foresee every event that was going to happen, he was able to use it here and there, and most of the time his visions were normally correct. However, there was one issue. Although it helped Palpatine a lot, especially while in combat, a lot of the Jedi Council members were against him using this ability. According to Yoda, visions about the future would just cloud his judgment, so in time Palpatine learned to just keep his visions privately to himself. When he was younger, he always used to try and help out by sharing what he saw, but most of the time the older Jedi would just shut him down and tell him to let it go. So now he'd either just keep them to himself, or would tell Dooku about it, who was one of the only few people in the Order who never judged him for who he was. Luckily for Palpatine though, Dooku wasn't the only person in the Order who he trusted fully. Over the years, Palpatine developed a lot of close friendships with many Jedi, but there was one who he considered to be almost like a best friend. This Jedi was none other than Qui-Gon Jinn, who was only 4 years younger than him. Palpatine and Qui-Gon briefly knew each other as younglings, but as they got older they really became close, and the two developed a strong bond. Although Qui-Gon's master was Plo Koon, sometimes Dooku would bring him along for missions, and the three of them would go on adventures together. Personally, those were some of Palpatine's favorite memories growing up, and although he and Qui-Gon's past were very different, the two truly had an unbreakable friendship. Now 50 years later, Qui-Gon just returned back to Coruscant along with his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi in what seemed like a young boy. Although Palpatine was confused by this, he assumed that Qui-Gon had a lot to share in his upcoming meeting with the Council. Rumor had it that Qui-Gon was attacked by a mysterious warrior on his way over here, which is when he rushed with Obi-Wan and the young boy right back here to Coruscant. So as Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stood before the Council, it was there where Qui-Gon spoke up.
He was trained in the Jedi arts. My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium. I do not believe the Sith could have returned without us knowing.
Hard to see the dark side is.
As Palpatine heard all this, he sat there shocked. This is exactly what his master Dooku always spoke about. He always told him how blind the Jedi Council were becoming, and now it's more transparent than ever. Qui-Gon just revealed that he was attacked by what could be a Sith Lord, and the other council members were just shutting it down like it was nothing? No, Palpatine couldn't let that happen. He refused to be like them.
Master Windu, Master Yoda, with all due respect, I think Master Qui-Gon is sharing something rather urgent that we must take greater caution with. If this is indeed a Sith Lord, we must be prepared.
Master Palpatine, we will not allow fear to cloud our judgment. As a member of this council, you should know that is something we cannot do. I expect more from you.
Preparation does not equate to fear, Master Windu. By preparing for the worst, it will allow us to stay ready and keep our eyes open if the Sith are to return.
Windu shook his head. From there, he ignored Palpatine's comment and looked back at Qui-Gon.
We will use all our resources to unravel this mystery. We will discover the identity of your attacker. May the Force be with you.
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan bowed.
Master Qui-Gon, more to say, have you?
With your permission, my master, I have encountered a divergence in the Force.
A virgins, you say?
Located around a person?
A boy. His cells have the highest concentration of midichlorians I have ever seen in a life form. Even more than Master Palpatine, and even more than Master Yoda. It is possible he was conceived by the midichlorians.
Palpatine sat there shocked. What? No, it can't be. Was he speaking of the prophesized chosen one?
You refer to the prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the Force. You believe it's this boy?
I don't presume to.
But you do. Revealed your opinion is.
Let him speak.
Qui-Gon nodded.
I request the boy be tested, Master.
Oh, trained as a Jedi you request for him?
Finding him was the will of the Force. I have no doubt of that.
Bring him before us then.
Qui-Gon nodded, and from there he left the room. However, as the meeting came to a close and the other Jedi Council members left the room, Qui-Gon stayed behind. He wanted to speak with Palpatine alone, so he waited for him to come out.
Okay.
As he did, he then spoke up.
Sheev, thank you for sticking up for me there, my old friend.
Of course. I know I am part of that council, but more and more it seems Master Dooku is right. They truly have lost their ways, and I don't know what it'll take for them to rediscover themselves.
We can only hope for the best, my friend.
I agree.
Mm.
Qui-Gon, may I ask something?
Yes, of course.
This boy, do you believe it? Do you believe he is the chosen one?
I do. Sheev, I've never met a boy quite as sharp as him. He has a gift that is unexplainable.
Well, I believe you, Qui-Gon. My only fear is his age. From what I've seen, he appears to be older than any other Jedi that has ever joined this order. You know what the Council will think about that.
Yes, it won't be easy, but I won't take no for an answer. Anakin must be trained.
I'm only one member out of this large council, but I will do everything in my power to make sure of it. You have my word.
Thank you, my old friend.
Mm.
I shall see you later. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, Qui-Gon.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting.
As time passed, Anakin was presented in front of the council, and just as Palpatine predicted, the rest of the council members refused to allow him to be trained. In their eyes, he was too old to become a Jedi, and according to them, there was much fear that clouded his judgment. Although Palpatine tried speaking out and defending the young Anakin in the meeting, the rest of the members wouldn't have it. No matter what, they refused to allow Anakin to be trained. So later that night, they informed Qui-Gon that the boy wouldn't be trained, and as a result, Qui-Gon was furious. Although they tried to explain to him that Anakin's future was clouded, Qui-Gon refused to give up. At one point, he even offered to train Anakin himself, but they shut down that idea right away, saying that Obi-Wan was already his apprentice, and he couldn't train 2 students at a time. However, by the end of the meeting, they agreed that Anakin's fate would be discussed another time, and right now, the only thing that mattered was the mysterious attacker from earlier. So the council ordered Qui-Gon to return back to Naboo to draw the attacker out and unravel the mystery. It was there where Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and the young Anakin were about to depart back for Naboo, but on their way out, Palpatine pulled Qui-Gon aside one last time. However, this time their conversation together was a bit more serious.
Sheev, you wanted to speak to me?
I do. Qui-Gon, you've been my close friend for a long time now, and you know when I'm able to have these visions of the future?
Yes, of course.
During the meeting just now, I sensed something. I saw something dark. However, I can't pinpoint this one exactly yet. Just be safe, my friend. Something tells me your theory is correct, and that it is a Sith Lord. Make sure Obi-Wan stays by your side at all times.
Am I in danger?
I cannot say. These visions this time, they aren't as clear as they usually are. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize, my old friend. If all goes well, Obi-Wan and I will return soon, hopefully victorious.
Palpatine paused. He hoped he was right.
Take care, my friend. May the Force be with you.
Qui-Gon nodded, and from there, he set off. However, as Palpatine still stood there, he felt defeated. He felt like a failure. He wished he could help Qui-Gon more. He wished he could find an answer to what this vision was about, but he couldn't. This bothered him. Normally, he'd be able to dissect what the vision was about and get to the bottom of it right away, but this time, it was way different. This time, he had no answers. Although he wasn't sure what it was, he couldn't help but feel terrified for Qui-Gon's life. As hours and hours passed, Palpatine sat in his quarters meditating in the Force. As he did, he kept trying to receive answers, but he just couldn't. Nothing came to him. He couldn't sense what his visions were about and what was going to happen as a result. However, little did he know that all was about to change. As Palpatine sat there, the doors behind him opened. It was Count Dooku, but he looked pale. He looked sick to his stomach. What was going on?
Master, what's going on?
I don't know how to tell you this, Sheev.
Master, tell me, is something wrong?
Qui-Gon Jinn, he's dead.
Palpatine's heart sunk. His chest felt numb. Everything hurt. No. No. Not Qui-Gon. Not his best friend.
I am deeply sorry, Sheev. I know how close you two were.
Who did this?
A Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord? So Qui-Gon was right.
Indeed. We just received the report. It seems the mysterious attacker from earlier was indeed a Sith Lord. However, young Obi-Wan Kenobi was able to kill him from what it seems.
But Qui-Gon...
From what it sounds like, Qui-Gon pressed ahead, was left isolated with the Sith Lord. It wasn't until later where Kenobi caught up and fought the warrior himself.
Palpatine felt sick inside.
I wish I could have done more, Master. I couldn't sense these visions for some reason. I tried, I really did. I even told Qui-Gon before he left to make sure he and Obi-Wan stayed together, since everything felt off to me. I feel like I've let him down.
Do not take blame for this, Chief. I've been warning the Jedi Council of this growing darkness for years. This won't be the last we see of the Sith, so we must be ready. My guess is that only a Sith apprentice could be defeated so easily. Whoever it is, his master must be lurking out there somewhere in the shadows.
I agree.
Anyways, I must be going now. It seems we have our new Supreme Chancellor selected.
Darth Jar Jar.
Wait, what? The election is finalized already? Who won?
Ego, the mask.
The man? From the banking clan?
Indeed.
Wow.
Yes, Valorum was a fool. Unlike him, Damask is respected by many within the Senate. So let us hope that with him in control, we'll have more action take place as well as justice for our republic.
I agree.
Try not to think so much about it. Knowing Qui-Gon Jinn, he's watching over you right now. I'll see you later tomorrow for the funeral. Take care, my friend.
Palpatine nodded, and from there, Dooku set off. As he did, Palpatine was left with his thoughts. He was hurt. His heart ached. For so long, Qui-Gon was his best friend. And now he was gone. Palpatine was speechless. He was heartbroken. However, although he was devastated, he told himself that he would do anything in his power to avenge his friend's death. Anything. The next day, Obi-Wan met with Yoda just a few hours before the funeral, but Palpatine was invited to this meeting as well. For some reason, Yoda wanted to speak with both of them. Although Palpatine had no idea why, he would soon find out.
Confer on you the level of Jedi Knight, the Council does. But agree with you taking this boy as your Padawan learner, I do not.
Qui-Gon believed in him.
The chosen one the boy may be.
Hello. How are you?
Grave danger I fear in his training.
How are you? You
Master
good?
Yoda, I gave Qui-Gon my word. I will train Anakin.
No. Already decided this boy's future is.
What?
To train young Skywalker, a master is needed with more experience.
Yoda looked at Palpatine, who so far was silent the entire meeting.
Master Palpatine, take young Skywalker as your Padawan. You will. Train him in the correct way. You must.
Palpatine was shocked. However, at the same time, he was thrilled. He couldn't think of any better way to honor his fallen friend than to train the boy he believed in so much. In just the small moments that he saw Qui-Gon with the boy, he saw how much he cared for him. He saw how much he looked after him as if he was his own son. Now, Palpatine would do the same. He was honored.
It would be an honor, Master Yoda.
I understand, Master. Knowing Qui-Gon, he would have been extremely happy to hear that Master Palpatine would train Anakin.
Obi-Wan looked at Palpatine.
Thank you, Master.
Of course. May the Force be with you, Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan nodded, and from there, he left the room. As he did, it was just Yoda and Palpatine alone.
Master Yoda, I know we have had our differences in the past, but thank you for this opportunity.
Thank me yet. You do not need to. When you were a boy, scared we were. Much darkness your father said you had. However, wrong he was. and wrong we were.
Hey,
A
dude.
great Jedi you have become. Now, do the same with young Skywalker. Teach him and set him on the right path. You must.
13 years had passed since Qui-Gon's death, and ever since then, Palpatine honored his best friend in the best way he could. Over the years, Palpatine took it upon himself to train Anakin in the ways of the Force, and over time, Anakin became a way different Jedi than anybody could have predicted. Under Palpatine's teachings, Anakin was a lot more powerful, more calm, and was a much better conducted student had he been taught under Obi-Wan. Although Anakin was devastated after Qui-Gon's death, he now had Palpatine, and in time he started seeing him as sort of like a father figure. For most of his childhood, Anakin never had a father, so Palpatine truly filled that gap in his life, and in time the two developed an unbreakable bond. Throughout the past 13 years though, the events played out very much the same. Although Palpatine and Anakin were close, Anakin unfortunately still lost his mother due to a band of Tusken Raiders killing her on Tatooine. As a result, Anakin was heartbroken about this, but in this timeline he never slaughtered any of those Tuskens to get revenge. Because of Palpatine's teachings, he learned to stay calm, even in a situation as horrifying as that. Anakin came to terms that revenge would do nothing. It wouldn't bring his mother back and instead would only make him feel worse. So, although it was a hard time,
one of the platforms I'm streaming on is not actually as user friendly as I hope, and yeah, usually if like Twitch, if I hover over an option, it usually tells me what it does. But the blue heart does not tell me what it does. It's all usually too late before I find out. So Rand 222, I am sorry. I didn't mean to.
for him, Anakin learned to let go, and with the help of Palpatine by his side, he was able to overcome his trauma. However, Palpatine wasn't the only person who helped support Anakin. Throughout these years, Anakin also developed a strong romantic attachment to none other than Padme Amidala. After spending time together, he and Padme quickly fell in love with one another, and eventually the two even got married. Luckily for Anakin though, Palpatine fully supported him and actually encouraged him to have this romantic attachment. Unlike the other Jedi, Palpatine believed that in a way, attachment was essential to a Jedi's life, as long as it didn't control you. So Palpatine taught Anakin how to use his feelings for good, and even helped keep his relationship a secret from the other council members. Because of Palpatine in his life, it not only made Anakin a better husband to Padme, but also a better Jedi. Anakin was so grateful for his master, and as a result, he worked his way up to eventually becoming a Jedi Knight. Although his dream was to one day be a Jedi Master, he stayed patient and kept working hard so that maybe in time that dream would come true. However, those weren't the only things that happened over these past 13 years. Just like we saw all those years ago, 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚 was elected as the new Supreme Chancellor, but even under his leadership, the Clone Wars had still begun. Over the past 3 years, the Republic has been at war with the Separatists, and although it's been a long, brutal 3 years, luckily it was starting to come to an end. Not long ago, it was revealed that General Grievous was hiding in the 𝙂𝙚 system, so Obi-Wan Kenobi was being sent to confront him there. With him confronting Grievous, they could be one step closer to ending this war. But there was one thing missing: the Sith Lord. Ever since that Sith warrior died on Naboo all those years ago, the Jedi had been trying to unravel the mystery of who his master was, but had no luck. However, that was about to change. As Palpatine now sat in his quarters, he was granted another vision of the future. But unlike the one about Qui-Gon all those years ago, this one was more clear. This one felt real, and if what he saw was correct, the Clone Wars would soon be at an end. However, Palpatine didn't want to jump to conclusions yet, so he met with the two people he trusted most: Count Dooku and Anakin.
Master, you wanted to see us?
Yes? I am not sure how to put this into words.
What's going on? Is everything okay?
Palpatine went quiet.
You've had a vision, haven't you?
Yes. However, if I share what I'm about to tell you both, the rest of the Jedi Council will never believe me. You know how they feel about my visions.
So, what happened in this one?
The Sith Lord. I believe I know who it may be.
Who?
Chancellor 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚.
The mask? Are you certain?
I am. This vision felt more certain. A lot more than the one about Qui-Gon all those years ago. In this one, I can't describe it, but I saw him with a red blade.
It's okay. We both believe you, Sheev.
How can we help?
I am unsure. However, as you know, I have developed a close relationship with Damask over the years. I am sure I can get to the bottom of this.
You're going to confront him.
By doing so, I believe we can discover the truth.
Master, with all due respect, I don't want you confronting a Sith Lord on your own. He could be dangerous.
Then that is a risk I am willing to take, my old Padawan. If you come along, it'll be too risky. It'll appear as if we're threatening him.
Go. Confront him. Skywalker will wait here with me. If things do take a turn, you will contact him, and he'll be in there immediately.
I agree.
Master Dooku, won't you come fight as well?
Young Skywalker, with my old age, I'm half the man I used to be. I taught Sheev here everything I know, and now you and him have truly developed a strong relationship as master and apprentice. I have no doubt you both can bring peace back to this galaxy.
I understand.
Now, Sheev, go. We'll remain here and make sure none of the other council members ask any questions. Go do this for Qui-Gon Jinn.
Palpatine nodded. For Qui-Gon.
For Qui-Gon.
As time passed, Palpatine arrived at the Chancellor's office, and as he did, Damask was surprised to see him.
Ah, Master Jedi. What a pleasant surprise this is.
Chancellor Damask, I have great news to share. It seems Master Obi-Wan Kenobi will soon be engaging General Grievous, and if all goes well, this war should finally come to a close.
That is very good news indeed. I must say, I am surprised they didn't send you for this mission, especially as a Jedi Council member.
There is no need. Master Kenobi will be just fine.
Ah, yes. Master Kenobi. The same Jedi that allowed his master to get killed right in front of his eyes. No.
Palpatine paused. Why was he bringing this up?
It wasn't his fault.
Yes. It's easy to think that. However, if only he and Kenobi just stayed together, then Qui-Gon Jinn could still be here alive.
Palpatine went silent. He did his best to remain calm. He knew this was a trick.
Master Palpatine, you seem unsettled. Here, perhaps let me help you.
Out of nowhere, Damask pulled Palpatine's comlink right from his pocket and crushed it with his bare hand.
If you are going to spy on me, at least be a little more subtle, Master Jedi.
Palpatine was shocked. He was right. His visions were right.
You're the Sith Lord.
Indeed. Now that you no longer have a comlink, you will not be contacting any of your Jedi friends to come rescue you. In this room, it will just be you and me. Nobody else.
Why do this, Chancellor Damask?
Chancellor Damask. No, fool. My name is Darth Plagueis.
Darth
Plagueis?
Palpatine felt cold.
You could have been a powerful apprentice to me had you stayed on Naboo with your family, Master Palpatine. I foresaw you becoming my own Sith apprentice many years ago. But of course, because of your father getting rid of you, that was robbed from me. Luckily, he suffered the consequences of his actions.
What are you talking about?
I killed your father in cold blood, as the rest of your family. Not that it matters anyway. They saw you as an abomination, as an outcast. They celebrated the day you entered the Jedi Order. Yet it seems you're still an outcast even to the Jedi. How unfortunate.
Palpatine felt numb. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. His parents, his family.
However, I offer you a choice now. Join me, allow us to rule this galaxy under the new galactic empire. Leave your Jedi Order and
Oh
be
no.
right by my side. Our combined strength will be no match for anyone who opposes us.
Never. My loyalty lies to the Jedi Order.
Even after they were the ones responsible for Qui-Gon Jinn's death. If only they believed him at the time that the Sith had truly returned, then perhaps he could still be around now. Well then, just like Qui-Gon Jinn, you will now suffer the same fate.
Oh
With
no.
that, Plagueis ignited his red lightsaber. Palpatine ignited his yellow one. From there, Plagueis leaped towards Palpatine, and it was now a duel between the two of them. Beams of yellow and red clashed against one another as they fought in the Chancellor's office. However, as they fought, Palpatine became quickly overwhelmed. Although he entered the fight confident that he could beat this Sith Lord, now his thoughts began to get the best of him. He started thinking about his family, and how this man right here was responsible for killing them all. Despite him not remembering much of his family, it still broke his heart inside. How could someone do this? Palpatine and Plagueis kept clashing. However, Palpatine just couldn't keep up. Plagueis was just too powerful. Then before he knew it, Plagueis then kicked his saber out of his hands and brought him right to the ground. Plagueis had won and Palpatine was defeated. Now, as Plagueis stood above him, he pointed his saber right at his throat.
Your thoughts betray you, Master Jedi. I give you one last chance. Join me. We can turn those feelings into rage. We can make you more powerful than the Jedi had ever taught you. Join me, and we can rule to...
Enough.
Plagueis and Palpatine turned around. It was Anakin.
Let's fucking go.
I see your apprentice has come to rescue you. How touching.
Enough, Sith Lord. I'll give you one chance. Let my master go, or suffer the consequences.
Young fool. You are the child they called the Chosen One. Seems to be nothing more than a misread prophecy.
From there, Plagueis looked back at Palpatine. However, as he did, Palpatine glanced over at Anakin. Although no words were said, they were both on the same page. As soon as Plagueis would act, they would have a counter together. They knew each other far too well and would be prepared for anything.
I gave you a choice. Die well, Master Jedi.
Plagueis then swung back his arm to attack Palpatine, but then...
Anakin, now!
With that hesitation, Anakin ignited his yellow saber and sliced Plagueis' hand off. Plagueis screamed in agony. However, Palpatine then ignited his saber, and out of nowhere...
Ooh.
With one strike of his blade, Palpatine stabbed Plagueis right through his chest. It was done. Darth Plagueis was dead. As his dead body hit the ground, Palpatine sat there in relief. He really had done it. He and Anakin had truly saved the galaxy together.
Master, are you okay?
I'm all right, Anakin. If it weren't for you, my dear boy, I might have lost that fight.
Well, you didn't. I wasn't going to let you take him on yourself, Master.
Aww.
You're like my father. I can't lose you.
Palpatine
Aww.
smiled.
You truly brought balance to the Force, my old Padawan. Qui-Gon was right about you. You are the Chosen One.
Anakin smiled.
Thank you, Master. Now, shall we get out of here?
The next day, a Jedi Council meeting was held, and it was there where Palpatine broke the news to everyone. Although Anakin wasn't a Jedi Council member himself, he was still invited to this meeting, mainly because of his heroic acts in saving Palpatine. So, as the hearing was held, Palpatine shared that Chancellor Damask was a Sith Lord the entire time under the name of Darth Plagueis. When the Jedi Council heard this, they were shocked, but some such as Mace Windu still didn't believe what Palpatine was saying. However, luckily, Palpatine came prepared for this meeting. Last night before he and Anakin left the Chancellor's office, they searched through his files, and after hours and hours of investigation, they found their proof. Buried deep within, it was revealed that Plagueis had been funding both sides of the war the entire time, and was also responsible for the production of the clone army. It was there where they discovered his investments, his plans, and most of all, everything that he had done. Palpatine then shared that it was his visions that allowed him to see the truth behind the Chancellor, and without them, the Jedi Order could have been potentially doomed. When Yoda heard this, he was shocked. For the first time ever, he was glad that Palpatine had these visions, but at the same time, he felt like a failure. He and many of the other Jedi Council members were disappointed in themselves, mainly since they weren't able to sense what's been transpiring all along. So it was in that meeting where Yoda and the Council came to terms that a change was needed, and it was time to reconnect themselves with the Force. In order for peace to truly be restored to the galaxy, the Jedi would need to find their ways again, even if it meant starting from square one and reintroducing older Jedi traditions. However, there was one more thing that happened in this meeting, something that caught everyone by surprise. In the meeting, Yoda shared that because of Anakin's actions and his patience throughout the years, he would now be promoted to the rank of Jedi Master and earn a seat on the Jedi Council. This was a big deal because it was always Anakin's dream to become a master.
Let's
However,
fucking go.
even though he was thrilled, there was one issue. An issue that he was scared to face for years. His relationship with Padme. Anakin knew that if the Council found out about his relationship, they'd expel him from the Order, so he wasn't sure if he could accept this promotion, let alone stay as a Jedi. He wasn't sure what would happen from here, but he decided to come clean about everything.
Mr. Yoda, I thank you for this opportunity. As you know, it's been my dream to sit among you all, and to be recognized as a master. However, I must be honest about something.
A relationship with Senator Amidala you have? No, that we do.
Anakin was stunned.
What?
Yes, known of it we have for years.
Does this mean I won't be able to be a master? I understand if not.
For now, what matters is that the Sith Lord has been discovered. Although I did not agree with you two confronting the Chancellor without approval from the rest of the Council, you two did what nobody else could do. As for your relationship with Senator Amidala, we will discuss that matter over the course of several meetings. Like Master Yoda said earlier, if we are to truly have peace again, we must rediscover ourselves. And perhaps that means permitting attachments again into our order.
Really?
Don't get your hopes up. I said we'll see.
Anakin smiled inside. Although it wasn't a definite answer, that's the kindest Windu has ever been to him, and for Anakin, that's more of a victory than defeating the Sith Lord.
Now, we must inform the Senate of these discoveries. It won't be easy because of the high reputation Damask has always had. But with the evidence you two provided, things might work in our favor. May the Force be with us all.
From there, the meeting came to a close.
Oh, that's
However,
actually
Anakin
interesting.
asked Palpatine to stay. He wanted to speak to him alone.
Master, I just want to say thank you. For everything.
No need to thank me, Anakin. I will always be here for you.
Master, can I ask you something?
Yes? What is it?
Do you think the Council will allow me to be with Padme? I can't live without her.
I'm not sure, but I can guarantee one thing. I won't take no for an answer. If I need to filibuster the Council for hours, days, whatever it takes, then so be it. You are my priority, Anakin.
Thank you, Master.
Now go. Surely your wife misses you.
May the Force be with you, Master.
From there, Anakin left. But as Palpatine stayed, he felt something odd. Something different. A feeling he hadn't felt since...
I am proud of you, Sheev.
Palpatine turned around. It was Qui-Gon, standing there as clear as day.
Qui-Gon? Please tell me I am not hallucinating.
Oh, you're not hallucinating, my old friend. It is I.
How?
I know as friends we've always told each other everything. But there was one thing I never told a single person, Sheev. Through my studies in isolation, I was able to learn the path to immortality. Although it took much time, I was able to retain my consciousness after death, and now appear before you as a Force spirit.
I
don't know what to say. I hope you're not upset at me for keeping it a secret. Well, I'm not mad, but perhaps a little jealous. Do not worry, my old friend. I will teach you everything I know, so one day you can do the same. I missed you, Qui-Gon. I did too. Like I said, I am very proud of you. You took it upon yourself to train the Chosen One. And now there is peace in the galaxy again. You were right about him. He truly is like no other Jedi. Well, nobody else believed in me. You did, Sheev. Now it is time for me to return that favor. Shall we begin our training? I would be honored, my old friend.
Aww.
Yes. Lord Maul, I regret to inform you that 𝙂𝙚 is dead, killed by 2 Jedi.
How disappointing. I warned him to have me there with him, however he was too blinded by his own ego.
Before he passed, he left a transmission for you. Shall I play it?
Go ahead.
If you are listening to this transmission, then it means I am already dead, my apprentice. This now shall be the ultimate test if we are in fact able to cheat death. Only time will tell. However, if not, then the Sith Order now belongs to you, Lord Maul. Although I may be dead, it is your duty to continue our work. Do not let the Sith die. As I've told you, each and every clone is still programmed with Protocol 66 and is ready to initiate at any point. Take your time. Remain patient, and when the time is right, you may do as you wish with that information, my apprentice. If all goes according to as I've foreseen, the Jedi's victory will only be temporary. Once more, the Sith shall rule the galaxy. But that all remains in your hands now, Lord Maul. Do not disappoint me.
As you wish, my master.
Okay, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Why this bad game? Ooh.
Dreamworld, Australia. Afternoon on the Gold Coast. Family ride. Round rafts drifting over a shallow current.
fucking
It looks
go.
harmless. Foam bumpers, gentle chatter, cameras rolling. Then the water drops. A pump fault. The current slows to a crawl. One raft stalls at the top of the conveyor return. Exactly where the ride should never stop. Another raft keeps coming. There's no drama music in real life, just the slap of water and a thud you feel in your chest. Raft into raft. The stalled boat climbs the moving belt, teeters and flips. 2 children are tossed onto the platform. 4 adults are not. They're pulled into the machinery. Steel, rollers, and water that surges the wrong way. Operators hit stops. Guests scream for help. Paramedics sprint through a theme park built on speed and spectacle. But this is physics, not theater. A conveyor won't bargain. A low water trough won't forgive. Inside the ride envelope, there are places a human body cannot survive. Pinch points measured in inches. That's where they are now. Cause of death clearly. Traumatic crush injuries combined with drowning. The flip forces bodies into a narrowing gap. The belt applies relentless pressure. Water floods faces. Breathing stops, circulation collapses. It is fast, mechanical, and absolute. Aftermath, sirens, blue tarps, a crowd in shock. Investigators follow the breadcrumbs. Alarms acknowledged but normalized. Training that didn't imagine this sequence. No automatic system to block the belt when water levels dropped. Risk assessments that missed the exact trap the victims fell into. The coroner calls it systemic failure. The park shutters the ride, pays record penalties, and faces a public reckoning. 4 lives gone on a family river. Not from speed, not from height, from inches. Haunted Castle, New Jersey.
Right.
New Jersey. Friday night, May 11th. A line of teenagers trades daylight for darkness, stepping into a traveling carnival that doesn't move. Trailers linked into a maze, plywood walls, foam padding, jump scares in every corner. Inside, it's pitch black. You feel your way by touch. Hands skim walls. Laughter bounces. Someone flicks a lighter to see. Fire finds fuel. Foam and wood catch, then climb. Smoke blooms first. Thick, black, oily, filling the ceiling, then dropping fast. The maze turns on them. Dead ends, trick doors, corners that loop back. Visibility is gone in seconds. Employees grab handheld extinguishers. They barely dent it. There are no sprinklers, no smoke detectors, no automatic alarm. The corridors channel heat like a chimney. Guests near the entrance spill out coughing, eyes streaming. Deeper inside, the temperature spikes. Plastics decompose into poison, carbon monoxide, hydrogen cyanide, and the air itself becomes an enemy. Cause of death, clearly. Smoke inhalation and thermal injuries. The victims breathe superheated, toxic gases that strip oxygen from the blood and overwhelm the heart and brain. Disorientation keeps them in the path of the fire's advance. Burns follow, but it's the smoke. Hot, dense, suffocating, that kills first. Sirens arrive fast, but the structure is already an inferno. Firefighters breach sheet metal and trailer walls, carving openings where exits failed. When the flames drop, the count is 8 teenagers who never found a way out. Aftermath. Investigators map the maze and the decisions behind it. A permanent attraction permitted like a temporary one. Flammable interiors, confusing egress, no detection, no suppression. Criminal charges don't stick, but the codes change. Dark rides get alarms, sprinklers, illuminated exits, trained spotters, and inspections that assume the lights will go out and panic will do the rest. 8 lives, lost in minutes, not to monsters, but to a building that burned exactly the way it was built. Waterslide, Kansas. Kansas, midsummer. A record breaker rises over the park, taller than Niagara, 3-person rafts, a steep drop, then a camel hump meant to float you and set you down. August 7th. A raft dispatches, a child in the front, 2 adults behind, Velcro belts, nylon straps, no over-the-shoulder bars. The conveyor hums, the platform falls away. They hit the first drop at highway speed. Air meets angle. The raft goes light, too light. It lifts over the second hill and leaves the water. There's netting overhead hung from metal hoops to keep riders in. At ground level, netting looks protective. At speed, it's a hard boundary. Impact. On the platform below, staff slam stop buttons. Lifeguards run uphill, guests step back, stunned and silent. Paramedics arrive fast, but physics is already decided. Cause of death, clearly, catastrophic blunt force neck trauma from a high-speed impact with overhead netting and support bars when the raft went airborne. The adults in back suffer severe injuries from the same violent forces. No flames, no drowning. Pure kinetics, mass, velocity, and an uncompromising structure. Aftermath. The slide closes immediately. Investigators map the path of the raft and the decisions behind it. Weight ranges that let speeds drift high, testing that didn't mirror worst-case loads, design done without the rigor of established engineering standards. Records chased, margins thinned, lawsuits follow, indictments come and go. The slide is torn down, the lesson stays up. If you build to the edge of human tolerance, you can't guess. You model, you measure, and you leave room for the day the raft decides to fly. Edmonton Mall, Canada. Saturday night, June 14th. A triple loop icon hums inside the world's biggest mall. Neon. Music. A train climbs, dives, threads the steel. It's all precision until it isn't. Mid-course, the last car starts to fishtail. A wheel assembly is no longer where it should be. Hardware that holds steel to steel has failed. The car yaws across the rails. Metal scrapes. The train charges toward the final loop with 1 car wounded and everyone else along for the ride. Inside that car, 4 riders, lap bars only. The structure flexes, parts deform, restraints unlatch. Bodies are thrown from height to concrete while the rest of the train limps into the loop, stalls, and rolls backward. The crippled car slams a support, and the whole thing stops in an instant that feels like an eternity. Cause of death, clearly. Multiple blunt force traumatic injuries from ejection and high-energy impact, with catastrophic internal damage incompatible with life. The physics is simple and merciless. Mass times velocity, plus a sudden stop against an unforgiving floor. No smoke, no fire, just kinetics, and a restraint that couldn't keep a body inside a failing machine. Aftermath floods the hall with sirens and blue jackets. Dozens treated, 3 riders do not go home. The investigation follows the missing pieces: cap screws and fasteners that worked loose, design flaws that allowed a cascading failure, maintenance practices that didn't catch it in time. The ride is rebuilt: fewer cars per train, added wheel assemblies, seat belts and headrests, anti-rollback and anti-derail hardware. Because the only way to beat momentum is to engineer for when it fights back. A maul, a loop, inches of steel between thrill and tragedy. The lesson holds: every moving part matters, and every fastener is a promise you'd better keep.
Yep.
Disneyland, California. Anaheim, summer night, a brand new show spins to life. Animatronic Americana inside a giant rotating theater. Guests settle into wedge-shaped sections. Music swells, everything moves like clockwork. Backstage, an 18-year-old hostess works the load platform. She smiles, waves, keeps the timing. Between scenes, the audience ring slides to align with the next stage. Walls move, floors stay put. It's theater as machinery. There's a gap where the moving wall meets a fixed edge, just inches. A place built for scenery, not people. During a transition, she steps to the wrong side of safe. The wall glides, the clearance disappears. In one quiet, merciless motion, she's pinned. Guests hear something they can't place. A shout, a thud, then the show keeps singing. Operators hit the stop. Lights up. Medics rush into a building that's still humming with momentum. But momentum already did its work. Cause of death, clearly. Crushing injuries with compressive asphyxia. The moving wall traps the torso against the stationary edge, forcing the chest inward. Lungs can't expand. Blood can't circulate effectively. Oxygen falls, brain and heart follow. It's mechanical, not theatrical. Unforgiving and fast. Aftermath moves just as quickly. The show reopens with changes. Pressure-sensitive strips and breakaway panels added to the hazard zone. Mirrors and sightlines adjusted so operators can see the pinch point. Training rewritten: where to stand, where not to, how to halt rotation before feet cross a painted line. Warning lights, interlocks, procedures that assume one human misstep will happen, and design must catch it. No speed, no height, no coaster. A rotating room took a life because inches mattered more than spectacle. If you enjoyed this animation, please subscribe for more and support my small channel. Share your
Goofers, big goofers. For submarine disasters.
Hello,
There you
guys
go.
and gals, me Mutahar, and reject that digital ID, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh.
Now, this is one of those things that I kind of saw the other day. Do not introduce digital ID cards. You know, this thing has sort of started up. It needed a goal of 100,000.
Digital ID?
1.2
What the
million
fuck?
British people said that they don't want to see digital IDs coming into their country. That number just keeps growing. So I wanted to kind of touch this situation a little bit. The reason why we're talking about this is I've covered a lot of stuff recently on internet censorship, government surveillance, user privacy, a lot of things that I hold
Jesus
near and
fuck,
dear and
digital
important,
ID.
right? And I think we live in a world that is slowly turning into, well, I mean, let's be real, not slowly, pretty aggressively turning into a surveillance state. But before we go into this video, I do not want to be the one spreading misinformation or fear-mongering you, okay? I want to just lay out the facts and lay out the reality of a situation. So I do implore that you watch this video. I'm not going to make it too terribly long. I'm just going to give you the upfront facts here.
Yeah.
So according to the United Kingdom, in order to work now, in order to go into the future, digital ID is mandatory. And the government says that it's to combat illegal working.
Oh fucking. You know what? It's fucking hell. Whatever the UK introduces, literally the rest of the world follows in some sort. With the digital IDs. I'm not surprised because China is already doing that in the first place. So the UK basically copied China. And this US will soon follow by copying the UK. Like how the US copied the UK's Online Safety Act with their own, with the Children's Online Safety Act. Now, oh god, they're gonna introduce digital IDs. So slowly but surely, this is why I'm speculating. This is speculations, chat. Okay, this is speculation. All right. Slowly but surely, digital IDs will be slowly introduced, like a rollout, like a rollout launch. You know, first one state will have it, and then in the next state, and then the next state, and then the next state, and so on and so forth. So it won't be all instantly, but like the next time you update your state ID or driver's license, you may be prompted to, or may be required to, make a digital ID alongside your physical physical ID. So yeah. Oh, that's gonna be fucking hell. Ah, fuck me. Fuck me? I mean, no. Who said that? Who said that?
While making it easier to a vast majority of the people to use the vital government services that they have. Now, I want to start off by saying IDs are pretty much commonplace everywhere, okay? Obviously, in Canada, if you want to have a valid ID, something like a driver's license makes sense. Obviously, it contains my name, my address, date of birth, so on and so forth. And of course, obviously, there are things that don't serve as valid ID in Canada. For things like health cards, for instance, they don't. So driver's licenses and passports are these IDs that you basically show around the entire world. Okay, so for instance, a cop pulls me over, I show them my identification. But what if you're like, Muda, what if I don't want to carry around my goddamn wallet, okay? The only reason I carry around my wallet is because I need my driver's license when I drive. If I get pulled over, I need to show an ID to the cop. Otherwise, I could be in some pretty serious trouble.
Yeah.
So of course, obviously, this is not new. For instance, in the United States, there is also digital
I should also hold on real quick.
ID that is available. For instance, if you want to fly domestically, you can go to the Google Wallet and store ID information for your, participating state. So you
I was really in the mood to do coding, and then I slowly realized that I am not in the mental space to be coding right now, and like I said, I'll save the coding stream for during the variety stream.
don't have to whip out the driver's license when you go to the TSA. For instance, if you're in the state of California, you can use their wallet application, the Apple Wallet, the Google Wallet, to store, yes, your identification, your ID card. So when a chippy pulls you over, instead of showing them your physical license, you can give them a digital license. Actually, before I spread a little misinformation, just to reiterate, this will not replace a driver's license physical yet. Law enforcement, state government agencies, and businesses aren't yet accepting the MDL. So this technology is already here and it works in other countries, okay? Now, why is it such a huge deal and why is it such a massive issue?
It's already hold up.
Well, they're kind of
It's already in the United States? It's already in America? Wait, it's already all over the Americas. Oh my fucking god. I should be surprised, but I am surprised. I am genuinely surprised.
billing it as a way for a measure to make it tough to work in their country illegally. Now, I don't know much about the United Kingdom and their illegal immigration, but illegal immigration is a huge hot button issue in the entire world. It's an issue in Canada. It's an issue, obviously, in the United States.
Now I'm slowly realizing, because they're introducing digital IDs, are they introduce a have mandatory require, let's say, require security cameras to have mandatory facial recognition software that will cross-reference the data, your biometric data to the to the data that they have on you in the government's database. That's literally what the CCP is doing, have been doing for the longest time. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. Oh, neck crack and a half.
And it's an issue clearly in the UK. And I've seen, all the images of like the boats that are flooding into the country and the metrics that they have that illegals are coming into their country to work and are taking jobs from, again, residents, right? Like actual like citizens in their country, which is a problem. But to give you an idea, this digital ID system doesn't necessarily even solve it. So there are already requirements and systems in place in the United Kingdom to check if a job applicant is right to can work. And a lot of this works with them validating through their systems online whether users have valid documentation. And I think the documentation is like a work visa, I think an NI number or something of that nature, which is equivalent to like a SIN number in Canada or an SSN number in the United States. It's one of the it's literally the ID fucking code you get, when you have any legal status in a country. Now there are penalties, obviously, if you are an employer that is illegally hiring people that aren't, they don't have a.
Oh, fuck you. What, I don't have a right to watch the video, Libre Wolf?
Doesn't necessarily even solve it. So they're already check val. I think the Dutch is equivalent one of the illegal status in a country. Now there are penalties, they don't have a right to work in your country. You could face some pretty huge breaches, something like 45,000 per illegal worker and up to 60,000 if you decide to repeat offense. Now obviously I don't think this is a huge issue for like a super large corporation, but typically
Such as Amazon and Google.
it's not the big companies that hire most of the illegal workers, right? A lot of the big companies usually have the money and the clout to like pay for work visas or something of that nature, but for a small business, it can be an issue. Now, I personally don't think that requiring somebody to show a license on a smartphone is necessarily going to work if the employer themselves is already breaking the law. Remember, employers hire illegal workers mostly because they can pay them significantly less, and they know full fucking well that they can abuse the worker, and the worker doesn't really have any recourse because what they're doing isn't necessarily legal in the first place. So again, I don't see how having a real license or a digital license is necessarily affecting, the illegal worker economy, okay? The thing is, people who are breaking the law as employers are still going to continue to break the law.
And like I said, probably at some point in the future, all the world governments are going to start requiring all businesses to have security cameras that have biometric facial that basically have facial recognition, or basically biometric data cross analysis capable software to not only verify the person has any legal status to be in the country in the first place, but also if they cross the country borders illegally, they can get them within minutes of being spotted with by one of those security cameras.
Now, some of the things that they do say in their entire page actually does kind of make sense, okay? So to give you an idea, they do say that all of the IDs are stored literally on your device. So it's got the best-in-class security, state-of-the-art encryption that is already protecting millions of transactions daily. So they're kind of using similar like technology to how you use Apple Pay and Google Wallet, which do not store a copy of your actual, credit card. In fact, what they have is a, virtual credit card that is usually communicated and created on the fly with the bank. And all of that information is stored locally on your device. So as far as people saying that there's like a centralized database into this, of course, the majority of your actual information seems to be staying on your device. The digital credentials will be stored directly on your device. And that's according to the government here, so trust them at your own behest. So the new digital ID will be authoritative proof of someone is in this country legally. It'll therefore include name, date of birth, information. Driving licenses aren't a full ID, as it doesn't prove residence, nor whether you can work or not, which is true. Actually, many people in Canada can, for instance, get a driver's license. Now, obviously, this has your address, so it should technically prove my, address, unless a UK license is substantially different. But nowhere on this actual license does it say that I'm a citizen or an immigrant or a permanent resident. And a lot of those different connotations can affect your work status in the country. So again, to go further into it, a passport is physical. I mean, it could be digital, and it doesn't have tracked use checked against central databases, except at the border. It's only for citizens. The ID doesn't have to be. It could be held by ILR or Visa, and it doesn't reflect anything like your benefit situations. Example, when
Imagine your government ID, regardless if you're a citizen or a government employee, being monitored and also belonging to ILR, Visa, or MasterCard. Imagine that.
LA needs to do a means test. So again, this is all UK oriented stuff. So for the UK guys, you probably understand it. For the rest of the world, these are all just random, words for me. Or your eligibility for NHS treatment. I know what the NHS is. Passports are also static. They have a set amount of info that's printed and can stay that way for years to decades. An ID is updated with eligibility and changes to your status. And that's pretty important, right? When you get a passport, for me, my passport was made like last year. So for the next 9 years, it's probably going to stay exactly the fucking same. My ID, however, requires me to at least have this constantly renewed. For instance, this expires in 2030, so wow, that's actually a pretty big expiration date, Jesus Christ. But yeah, this is something that I'll constantly have to be getting.
Yeah, I noticed some regions are fusing driver's license and regional ID together. So as it combines an all-in-one country, like all one government ID and driver's license.
Updated. But a digital ID can be updated even faster. It can be the changes can be reflected. So I guess if the idea is you want to have a more accurate representation of what that person is in the country at the time, digital ID, I guess, is the way to go, because anyone in the government can update it to to what they want reflected. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of individuals. Okay, Tom Warren from the War Verge was like, "No thanks, checkpoint Britain, the dangers of digital ID and why privacy must be protected." So here they use the prime minister themselves. They brought up their immigration status, right to work, right to rent, and of course the expiry. So, it seems almost big brothery, right? Could the government control, where the fuck you wanted to work, if you could work, if you could rent? The thing about it is that a lot of times this already does exist. So this is why I wanted to kind of cut the fear-mongering stuff a little bit. For a lot of people that brought up these image macros. So this one right here says, it's the loss of privacy. Every move, purchase, or interaction could be logged or monitored. And this is not something that is, impossible to do. Right now, if the government of Canada wanted to know what the fuck I was buying, okay, they could go and subpoena my bank information. I'm pretty sure the cops can do that. I'm pretty sure the CRA could do that. I'm pretty sure any federal agency in Canada, if they really wanted to and had a...
Imagine a bank gets subpoenaed so many times, they blacklist a particular user and delete their bank account. Imagine they do that.
Sufficient enough reason could pull that out, right? But of course, it kind of makes it a little bit easier if, again, the concept of a digital ID being pinged is something that the government can pull up a lot quicker than warrants going to banks. But we'll get to that towards the end of the video. Centralized control. Whoever runs the system holds enormous power over your daily life. And that could be true, right? Like if the government can now decide on that ID card, hey, you're allowed to work, you're allowed to rent, you're allowed to do whatever it is, right? And they can change that at any moment. Yeah, if it's used nefariously, sure, it could affect somebody poor. And you might be like, but would the government really do that? The thing is, do you trust the government to be 100% fair with a system like this? For me, I really do have the best intentions, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with very valid reasons as to why they wouldn't want the government or any of these tech agencies to be deciding what the system, has on you or not. Data breaches. Huge databases are irresistible targets for hackers risking your identity. And the thing is, a data breach can still affect you even if digital ID doesn't exist. There's a lot of places, there's a lot of stuff you've probably heard where social insurance numbers have been leaked. Hell, these people could hack an internet service provider or any of these like tech companies and dig out people's personal information, which usually could contain things like addresses, emails, and whatnot. So you don't necessarily need this, government ID system to be hacked. However, it does raise the question, if tech companies that are already, fighting against this kind of stuff cybersecurity-wise are having a tough time in today's day and age, I don't really trust any fucking government to be able to protect my shit. So then, exclusion. No ID, no access, people could be locked out of work, healthcare, travel, or even shopping. And the thing is, this is not digital ID exclusive. I want you to remember, this is something that easily could have happened and still does happen with traditional IDs. For instance, if you don't have an ID, if you don't have a health card, right, you may not be, privy to certain services in my province. If you don't have IDs, you may not be privy to certain things. Having a digital or physical ID doesn't necessarily, a digital ID doesn't necessarily mean you'll be excluded. You already can be excluded. Now, of course, you've also got freedom erosion. Once it becomes required, reversing it will be almost impossible. And I guess that's kind of true for any form of ID. I sincerely doubt back in the day, we used to have horse and buggy licenses, right? But obviously, as cars were introduced, driver's licenses were brought in, and it was something that, immediately, it was something that came in, took a little bit to, for people to get used to, but eventually it just became the norm. And digital ID, I don't doubt, is going to end up becoming the norm, because the reason I'm talking about it is I might not be a United Kingdom guy, but I can tell you right now, for a country like Canada, for a country like the United States, for a lot of places,
it might become the norm by the time we hit old age. By the time that Gen Z or my generation hits old age.
This is going to be the future. If digital ID is something that kind of fucking scares you, remember, I was actually at the LAX a few days ago, and at the LAX, what was so wild was that for, I guess, domestic people traveling, they have to have like US biometrics, like something about like real Face ID or something like that, where again, all these digital systems.
Yeah, I had to do US biometrics back when in 2016.
Are being implemented. Now, a lot of people have brought up digital surveillance as a thing. And one of the things that got brought up with the United Kingdom was, according to some of the guys over at Hacker News, when you look at things like what the UK is already doing with things like the Online Safety Act, which again is not really going all that well. In fact, it's really funny that the Australian version, literally yesterday, everyone was laughing at them because they started targeting places like GitHub. So kids are unsafe from a code writing platform because I guess it could be used as a social media service. It really feels like most of the internet is being locked down, especially places that don't fucking need to be, okay? All because we wanted to protect children from, adult movies, which is noble, but we can see the effect of what happens when governments introduce a law that ultimately affects far more than it ever actually should have. You also got situations like the Snoopers Charter, which, again, I have to verify this myself, but ISPs can keep records on you, which is actually true for most of these Five Eyes countries. Canada does this. The United States does this. I would be surprised of a country that doesn't necessarily do this. So, of course, you've also got, the UK and, of course, the EU requiring encryption backdoors, things like chat controls. This is a set of countries that wants to get rid of encryption. They want to get rid of any form of online privacy. So all of this being said, when you look at the relationship that the government has with organizations like Palantir, for instance, where I believe, at least for the UK, they ended up getting like over $1 billion worth of contracts when it came to defenses. So all of these things combined. Look, the future of the internet and the future of the world is headed towards this digital state, right? And one of the things that really gets me on a surveillance level is this. So I want you to ride this scenario with me really quickly.
Here's the thing. What if you don't have internet access or don't have access to a smartphone? And one day, and it is gonna be the error. Like digital is the only way to go. What if you don't have access to anything digital? You're just entirely fucked.
Let's say in the future, right? You want to go
royally fucked.
you want to go onto like I don't know, a social media site, right? You want to go to Reddit and voice your concerns on the government or really anything. Now, to access Reddit, you need to build an account, and in the UK, you need to provide an identification for said account. Now, right now, there's a way to bypass that. If you live in the United Kingdom, you can get VPNs like 𝙂𝙗. And the reason I bring up 𝙂𝙗 is that you really don't need to identify yourself to purchase from them. If you have cryptocurrency, or if you're just mailing cash to them, you literally can build a 𝙂𝙗 account without any identifying characteristics and get access to a pretty solid VPN. You can then use 𝙂𝙗 to connect to countries that currently do not require you to provide identification. So a lot of the UK people, overnight, when the OSA was launched,
What if 𝙂𝙗 suddenly gets forced to require an ID to make an account from the UK?
They were like, oh, fuck, let's get a VPN and move on through there. So they were bypassing the state surveillance apparatus right there. But let's imagine down the world, right? Like, let's imagine by 2030, by 2035, 2040 even, let's say it takes that long. Most of the world, most of the countries in the world now require you to use any form of internet access. They require you to use digital ID. So Canada requires you to use it. The United States federally requires you to use it.
That'd be
fucking
fun.
France does. Every large country. And
That'd
what
be
happens
so
is,
fun.
even if you start VPNing to countries that you once thought were safe, you now need to provide IDs. But not just IDs, you now need to provide IDs for that country. So the whole VPN shit just goes out and bust. Now you have to go back to the UK and provide your ID to access Reddit or any of these websites. Now the reason why this hits me
What if you need ID to access internet providers?
on a surveillance level is that, you know, the anonymity that we once had, you know, in our day-to-day life, that privacy, that, you know, just tiny bit we could use to fight government surveillance, that gets taken away. Because now, in order to access most of these sites where you know, talk about your social media stuff, or you discuss things with, or you air your grievances, they will all require you to use IDs, or they just won't be servicing your country. So now, if the government ever wants to look into that database or just subpoena which, sites pinged that ID number, that digital ID, they now have an entire idea of you accessing certain websites. Before, it could be kind of run in a situation where you can go to like a public Wi-Fi, access the internet through like an anonymized like system and generally be okay. But now, because your ID is so tied to you as a person and how you interact on the internet, this is a way for, in my opinion at least, I think it's mostly a pathway for government surveillance. I don't really think the government gives a shit about like, stopping the illegal immigrants from like working in the country. There are already systems in place to do that. I don't think employers, who are illegally hiring people are going to fucking give a shit about this. But that's just where my mind comes into it, okay? And the reason I'm talking about it is because, dude, down the road, it's not far-fetched to think this can't happen to me in Canada, okay? Or the United States when I choose to go down there, okay? My kids in the future who are Americans, they'll have to deal with this shit if, God forbid, their states or federally this passes. It's one of the reasons why, people are like, man, you're a Canadian. Why are you so worried about this shit? Because I know the writing on the wall, okay? I know the fucking future. You don't have to be Nostradamus to see if it works in one of the biggest countries in the world that it can't eventually be passed down. And all the time, these politicians will always use bullshit reasoning to make this stuff pass. When in reality, they don't care about any of this stuff. This is just a way for them to fit more surveillance into your life. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not for digital IDs. I don't think that there's enough of a positive benefit that you get out of this technology right now, and maybe even in the fucking future, even comparing yourselves to like traditional physical identification cards. But, and then again, comment section is rife for debate on this. Let me know what you think. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you dislike it,
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Common scams everyone still falls for. The printer ink plot. Let me know if this sounds familiar.
Yeah, printer ink. Let's see what oh, call machines, that's personal.
Picture this. You go to your favorite arcade, convert $100 of real money into 40,000 fake tokens. You take your tokens and you go to the large claw machine, and in there you find the cutest stuffed animal ever. You decide you're going to play a few rounds, and you end up spending the next 20 minutes using all of your credits, basically $100 real, trying to get the stuffed animal worth maybe 20 that you did not get. This may or may not have been a real situation that happened to me recently, and for that
Oh,
reason,
no.
claw machines are scams. I'm half joking. They're not a scam because I lost. They are a scam because I lost and I researched it and I found out they're a scam. Basically, every machine that takes money for a prize has something known as an adjustable payout. And what an adjustable payout is basically a mechanism within the computer, within this device that you're playing on or gaming on, that determines whether or not you're going to win or lose a prize. Claw machines are not a skill game. They're literally just gambling machines. And for that reason, under US law, they are classified as amusement machines, the same classification that slot machines are under. And they all basically work the same way. Now, going back to adjustable payouts, basically every prize-based machine can only be won once a certain threshold of money has been earned. Let me break it down. Let's say that there's a claw machine that has a bunch of toys that are worth $1 in it. Let's say that the person who owns the claw machine is really greedy. And let's say that he sets the adjustable payout to every time the claw machine makes $100, the claw machine will then officially have the strength required to pick up one of the $1 prizes. In that case, every 99 children is going to be very upset that they wasted their dollar and didn't get a prize. However, that very lucky and random one person who actually gets a claw that has any sort of strength to it is going to get a prize, and, well, they're going to get their dollar back in the form of that toy. However, for 99% of people, that is not the case. And the game that seemingly relies on skill actually ends up being a game of chance. So yeah, if you've ever used a claw machine and wondered why the thing was just so limp and if it would ever win ever, well, it will win, just not when you're playing, or at least not likely. And the claw does have strength behind it, but it's only going to happen 1 out of 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 1,000 times. And that's how claw machines and all gaming machines make money. They have items that are worth X amount of money, and they'll only let you win once they've made their return that they want to make. So if you ever see a machine with really expensive items in it, just realize that it's going to take a lot of money for that prize to ever be paid out. And while it's actually really fun to go to arcades and play with claw machines, understand that you're paying for the experience and the fun. And you are in no way, shape, or form ever going to make a return in any form of gambling. But speaking of fun, if you've watched this far in the video, you're probably having fun watching, trust me bro. And if that's the case, I highly...
Yippers. Boundary break.
So I want to start off this video by showing you the seagulls from Koopa Beach in Mario Kart 64. Why is this exactly? Because the weird thing about these seagulls is that they have eyes that are really big and really detailed, despite the fact that the player would never be able to get a glimpse of this by normal means of play. And on top of that, these seagulls are fully modeled. They are not paper thin. The sort of thing that you will see all over this video is not the case with these birds. And again, these are a level of detail to these seagulls that is just unnecessary. And on top of that, there's a lot of these seagulls in any given moment when you play the game. So they're a complete anomaly to what you normally see in Mario Kart 64. Like, for example, in the same stage, these crabs. These crabs are just little billboards like you see all over Mario Kart 64. And if you take the camera right up to their face, you can see that they have green eyes. A detail that, again, would be really, really hard to see. But in contrast to those seagulls, this is way more up the alley of what you should set your expectations to. Anyways, that is just a taste to another episode of an ongoing series where we basically take the camera anywhere we want to try to find secrets and new discoveries to some of our favorite games. And today, we're going back to Mario Kart 64. In the past, we looked at Mario Kart 64 with an amalgamation of various Mario Kart games, but today, we're going to be looking at Mario 64 exclusively now that the tools have been updated to allow us to see things that we weren't able to see way back in 2016. So if you'll join me, let's check out tracks in full and AI behavior and awesome little sprite work animations that would have been really tough to see way back
new
in the
video.
day. Let's go. So if you look at the porcupines here, you can see I have a red nose as well as little hooves. These are details I feel like would be a little bit hard to see, especially with the low resolution of the Nintendo 64 on standard definition consoles. Fun little fact, these porcupines were replaced by Goombas in Mario Kart 8.
Ooh.
Now this is one of those times I think I'm going to get educated in the comments section, but on Choco Mountain, there is weird theming to this one. The name seems to imply chocolate is the theme, but there's a tunnel with eyes. as well as boulders that have eyes and a mouth as well. That might be something that was harder for players to notice back in the day, but the boulders that fall off the cliff have 3 holes in them to represent what seems to be eyes and a mouth. Also, thanks to being able to see everywhere on this map now, we can see where the boulders spawn in, which is well out of bounds here before it's teleported to where they need to go. But seriously, I'm not your all-knowing YouTuber. If anybody wants to educate me in the comment section as to why there seems to be a theme of eyes and a mouth, I'd love to know. And then if we take the camera over into Banshee Boardwalk, we can find these bats, another hazard to yet another track, and taking the camera up to them will show you that they have blue eyes as well as big, juicy mouths. They also have 2 important frames of animation, one where the wings are flapping down, and another where the wings are flapping up. And then in Moo Moo Farm, we have the Monty moles that are springing out of the ground. Now, if you take the camera underneath the ground, we can see what they do here, but more importantly, there are parts of the sprite that can't be seen by the player. There's a standing animation where half his body is poking out of the ground and the other half is in it. So, here you can see some unused detail to the bodies of these moles. Also, if it wasn't easy to tell in the original game, they seem to have sunglasses, which is a really, really nice detail. I might have a bias for them. Here's a fun little fact for the hot air balloon for Luigi. Normally, the player gets to see the 3D model version, and if you take the camera up to it, you can see that the whole thing turns into a 2D LOD model. And the trick here is that it's supposed to always be facing the player, and the only way to really kind of see how flat it is to try to get as much above it as we possibly can, so that it can't face us in our camera. It's from this angle you can really see the 3D model just pop from 3D to 2D. And speaking of 2D, let's talk about those racers. So now that we can move the camera all around pretty easily here, let's really test the limits of the 2D sprite racers. For the most part, it works brilliantly, but the game doesn't really account for certain angles like this one here. If we take the camera nearly right above, as you can see, the shadow seems to indicate what we should be looking at with the angle of this cart. However, the sprite doesn't really know what to do anymore, and so instead we have like a flat and tilted version that really starts to give away the illusion. If it wasn't for the fact that HD also kind of gives away the illusion and making it very plain to see that, of course, those are really blurry textures. In Bowser's Castle, there's a green thwomp block that fans seem to have named Marty for some reason. And of course, for less initiated players, there are details to this block that a lot of people might not notice. Taking the camera inside can show you that it has a laughing animation on its face that, again, if you didn't stop and look, you might not have caught it. And then there are the snowmen on this track here, and if we take the camera all the way up to it, not only can you see the details of its scarf, but there's actually hidden details to the scarf as well, because this sprite is actually 2 sprites layered on top of each other. So slightly clipping his head can show you a little bit of extra detail to the scarf that would be really hard to see otherwise. So now that we have all the characters on screen all at once, there's no culling, there's nothing getting in our way to seeing what goes on in the world of Mario Kart 64. Some of the stuff I really wanted to show you is that, yes, the blue turtle shell does in fact travel all the way across the track to get to the person in first place. There is no trickery here where it's calculating speed and just sort of teleporting this thing to people. Even in 1-player mode, you can be rest assured that the blue turtle shell is in fact moving across the track in real time. And I did want to address probably one of the most highly requested things for Mario Kart 64, which is what does it look like when the rubber band AI is following the player or catching up to the player? Well, funny enough, before I could get to this episode, there was another YouTuber called 𝙂𝙚𝙣𝙚𝙧𝙖 that had a whole video on the many things that CPUs do to catch up or cheat to get to the player. But today, I asked him to come here and guest just to kind of go over and talk about what goes on with the speed of a CPU that allows them to catch up to you so easily.
CPUs are divided into 2 different types, rivals and non-rivals. At the start of a cup, 2 characters are chosen to be the player's rivals, and they're given special abilities, with a boosted top speed being the biggest.
Banner break, region breaks, sprint break, news.
As long as a rival isn't in first, they'll get a top speed between 70 and 80, which lets them catch up to the player very quickly. Once a rival reaches first, their increased speed is reduced, allowing the player to overtake them and keep the race competitive. For non-rival CPUs, if they ever come within a certain range of a rival, their speed becomes capped at about 45, so they'll never catch up with a rival or place higher than 4th if a player is in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, which keeps the rivals competitive with the player across the cup.
And thank you to Abyss.
Oh.
When you guys chance, please check out his video at the end of this one. It's a really good one, guys. And now we're going to do chance. Please check
those competitive with the player across the cup.
And thank you to Abyss. When you guys chance, please check out his video at the end of this one. It's a really good one,
Ooh,
guys.
okay.
And now we're going to do something that I don't normally do here on Boundary Break. We're just going to tour a lot of zoom outs of all the various tracks now that we can look at them without culling. Due to the limited nature of Mario Kart 64, combined with the aggressive culling that this game had to have at the time in order to make it run, seeing these tracks in motion, in engine, and seeing these Nintendo 64 style tracks in full view is kind of a beautiful thing. And before we move on to the next track, I do want to take the camera up to the Koopa at Koopa Beach. I am just sad, guys, because it took me probably decades to realize that is a rock formation in the shape of a Koopa. Granted, I did figure it out before becoming a guy that does YouTube videos, but I did just want to share my embarrassment with you. Anyways, moving on from there, Toad's Turnpike is probably one of the most beautiful zoom outs in the entire game. Due to the fact that there are so many moving vehicles that operate on this track, looking at Toad's Turnpike from afar is truly a sight to behold. There are so many vehicles, in fact, that are operating on this track that I couldn't even bother to count them all out for you. Next up, we got Calamari Desert, and this one is supremely satisfying because, as we all know, there is a train track that goes through this entire track. That was weird to say out loud, but it still sounds right. And with that, you know that the train goes around it, but the question always was on my mind was, are the trains really on the track at all times? And as you'll see here, there are two trains, and yes, they just go along the track. That's why there's a little bit of inconsistency about whether or not it will cross your path when you're driving on the racetrack. Here's another one in full shot. The entire environment's pretty large. I was really surprised by this in particular. One of the best things is, of course, the giant snow monuments and how they show up on the tracks very easily with the contrast between the snow and the dark gray track. And then there's Yoshi's Valley. Now this one was a bit complicated because in order to get this in one shot with all the items and the giant Yoshi egg, it messes with the lighting for some reason, which is a really big bummer. But if you do turn back on LOD and it allows it to remove the egg and stuff like that, which it seems like the egg is the one that is messing up the lighting somehow. But like I said, if you remove that, you can see the entire map with proper lighting at least. So it's sort of a compromise between both things.
Ooh. Alright, I like it.
Bowser's Castle is another one that's a ton of fun to look at out of bounds because everything is housed inside those castle walls perfectly. From this angle, you can see that it is pretty much the most complicated looking environment in the entire game. There's so many biomes that you drive through in any given time, and just seeing it all at once like this is just really, really nice. And of course, the Princess Peach Circuit. Wow, this one is really freaking cool. Taking the camera up and over, you can see just how much of the castle has to take up this entire environment, which is a lot. What an expensive little Easter egg the developers decided to put in. But I will say I really appreciated it back in the day. It's nice to see the castle from Mario 64 in all of its glory. Of course, there are some differences, like the texture of the stained glass Princess Peach above the door is a little bit different than it was in Mario 64. But outside of that, it's generally the same. Of course, there's a little bit of accommodating to make it connect with the actual racetrack. But other than that, it's pretty faithful.
Mm.
And then Wario Stadium is a lot of fun to look at, simply because the developers wanted to house it all inside of a stadium with an
I remember
audience.
this.
So to do that, it just looks like a legitimate dirt track. It's great. And it also just kind of shows the ingenuity of the developers and how they made these tracks. It's such a fun track to play as, and yet it also looks so professional when you see the entire thing all in one shot.
Ooh.
And of course, we have to take a look at the Luigi circuit, the very first racetrack in the game. Pan the camera out, we'll show you that it kind of has like a goggle-like effect, creating large gaps inside of the map to get that giant wide turn on each part of the track, all for it to sort of conjoin to the center and letting the players go through a tunnel halfway through the race. What's kind of surprising to me is just how much grass is actually modeled here. One of the tracks that's not as fun to look at from up above, in my personal opinion, is Choco Mountain. For as awesome as this track actually is to race on, looking at it from up above is not as impressive as the ones that we've seen prior in this episode already. This track in particular seems to be more impressive about what you see on a ground level versus what you see from up above like this. However, by contrast, DK's Jungle Parkway is a different story entirely. Looking at this from up above is like, wow, like look how much complicated stuff is going on here. There are rows and rows of textures to represent jungle trees, as well as a giant river and a boat moving. Couple that all with a long rope bridge that goes into a cave. It's just a nice, complicated map. Not one of my favorites to actually race in, but again, from a technical perspective and look big, that it will not fit all in one shot. You can get really, really close to it, but you still have to pan a little bit in order to see the entire thing. Also, what's fun is that viewing it from here allows you to see the images of the neon outlines of the characters and how they...
Wow. Let's see here. Speedrunner breaks. Oh? What if Anakin... Ooh.
Our story begins in the Chancellor's office as Anakin is covering his eyes from the lightning spraying through the office. A moment that was over a decade in the making was finally here, as Anakin was being forced to choose between Jedi and Sith, light or dark, and Mace Windu could feel the conflict inside of Anakin through the Force. At first, Windu thought the fear he was feeling was coming from Sidious upon his defeat, but now he realized the fear was coming from Anakin himself. Windu didn't understand what Anakin could be afraid of. Peace? The end of the war? It made no sense to him as he continued holding up his lightsaber, blocking the heavy torrents of blue
Ben
lightning.
11. Ben 11. Whoa. Hey, Brover. Hi. Welcome, welcome. Originally, I was planning to do some coding today, but like I realized I am both physically and mentally exhausted, and don't have the will to program today, so I'm pushing it off until Sunday. But how you been? How you been? Welcome, welcome. How are you?
And through the lightning, as Palpatine was calling out to Anakin for help, Mace realized something else. Palpatine, the Sith Lord controlling the galaxy, is not afraid in this moment because he trusts Anakin Skywalker. He truly believes that Anakin will join him. Mace could see the glowing yellow eyes of the Sith through the lightning, and Mace knew there was only one way this could end. Finally, the lightning would cease, and Sidious fell back weakly, saying he can't hold on any longer. The face full of evil had now become a face of despair and agony, and Mace knew this was all a game. He knew Sidious was too dangerous to be left alive. He knew even if Sidious was arrested, he may still be able to convince Anakin to side with him in the courts. There was simply one way out. And for Anakin, so many years of conflict, tension, confusion, agony, and fear were whispering to him in this moment. Half of these whispers told him to kill Mace Windu, join the Sith, unlock his true power. The other half of these whispers were telling him that Palpatine is evil. The Sith are evil. The best way to protect Padme is by destroying the Sith. Anakin tried so desperately to sort through all of his thoughts to find what he wanted, but it was ripping him apart from the inside out. And then Mace Windu raised his blade. Anakin would act on pure instinct. He barely even realized what he was doing as his own hand reached for his saber, and as Mace Windu swung down, Anakin ignited his own blade, slicing diagonally through Windu's torso. The Jedi Master paused his own swing, gasping in shock, but Anakin didn't stop here. He spun all the way around, and his lightsaber would carve right through Palpatine's neck before he could even realize what was going on. Anakin stumbled backwards, and the last thing Mace Windu would see was Palpatine's head rolling away. In Windu's final moment, he found peace knowing that the Sith were dead. He always told himself he would give his life if it meant ending this war, and in the end, that is what it took. Everything went dark for Windu as he fell next to the window in 2 pieces. Everything would go quiet here, aside from the wind and the rain whipping around outside the broken window. Anakin was numb. He sat still on a console, and his mind flashed back to just seconds ago. 2 Titans of the Force begging for his help, and Anakin chose neither of them. He murdered the leader of the Jedi Council, the leader of the Republic as well. Anxiety began to rise up, replacing the numb feeling inside of him, and Anakin's hands began to shake so much that his lightsaber slipped from his grip. To no one but himself, Anakin asked aloud, "What have I done?" As he began to realize what this looked like. The bodies of Kit Fisto, 𝙂𝙤𝙣, Aegon Kolar, Mace Windu, and Chancellor Palpatine were lying here, gutted and dismembered. He was the only one left alive. Anakin wasn't sure how much time had passed, but finally, the office doors swung back open, and in ran Commander Fox with a squad of Coruscant Guard clones. Fox looked around, saw 5 bodies, then saw Anakin still alive, and he came to the only possible conclusion. Anakin killed them all. Fox and the clones raised their blasters, and they told Anakin to come with them, or they will be forced to shoot. Anakin held his hands up, saying it's not what it looks like, but Fox didn't care. His duty right now was to bring Anakin in, no matter what. Anakin was backing up towards the window, and then he heard the blasters of the clones charge up to fire. He pulled his blue blade back into his hands, and as Fox and the clones fired, Anakin blocked the shots right into the wall, flipping backwards out of the window. He couldn't surrender. He knew the corruption of the Republic had to run far deeper than just Palpatine himself. For him to build up this web of the Clone Wars would require those like Mas Amedda, Sly Moore, and so many others to be on his side. If Anakin surrendered, he knew he may never be heard from again. He had to help clear his name. So now Anakin was floating through the sky, rain and wind pelting him as he flew down. And in the office, Commander Fox spoke into his comlink, alerting everyone to the situation. Anakin Skywalker is now the most wanted man on Coruscant. When Anakin landed, he was next to an emergency exit, and the door was quickly busted down as 4 of Palpatine's Red Guards would run right through it. Palpatine excused them for the night before the Jedi arrived, and now they were here with a vengeance. Their electrostaffs crackled to life, and Anakin asked them to walk away. Of course, they did not listen. The first one would stab forward. Anakin grabbed his staff, ripped it towards him, and he kicked the guard so hard that his chest plate was shattered. The other 3 ran in, and Anakin swung his blade, cutting through the forearm of one, blocked the strike from another, and then he pushed forward, slamming 2 of them into a building. All 4 were alive, but the fight was over, and Anakin took off into the streets. As Anakin ducked into the alley, things were escalating far quicker than he'd expected. Alarms were beginning to blare. Dozens of LAET gunships were flying around the city with bright lights flashing down, looking for Anakin. And as Anakin entered into the apartment block, he looked at the hundreds of screens scattered all around the city. On every single holo screen, there was a picture of him with a giant "Wanted" written across his face. Anakin tried his best to stay calm. He turned a corner, only to come face to face with Commander Oppo and a squad of 10 501st clones. Oppo and Anakin locked eyes for a moment, and Anakin knew Oppo had to follow orders. He gets it, so he just gave a subtle nod as the clones began firing. So many shots were fired at Anakin as smoke rose up all around them. Oppo put up his fist, waiting for the smoke to clear, but there was no body to be found. Instead, a sewer cap could be seen rattling around, and Oppo told everyone in their comms that Skywalker is in the sewers. Heavy security would leave the streets and move down into the sewers, all while Anakin looked down from a building roof above them. While the clones were firing, he was able to use the Force to rattle the sewer cap, and he dove into a hiding spot behind some crates and then scaled a building. He had a clear path to where he needed to go, and across the city, Padme Amidala was on her balcony, trying to hold back tears as she scanned the city, seeing her husband's face plastered everywhere. She turned to go inside, but inside of her room, she saw a figure diving through the window. Padme grabbed a blaster aiming, only for it to be Anakin coming out of the shadows. His robes were tattered, hair was even messier than usual, and his eyes looked like he just fought 1,000 different wars. He just stumbled over to her, hugging Padme, saying it's all a big misunderstanding. She breathed a sigh of relief, saying that he didn't kill the Chancellor of the Republic then. Anakin just awkwardly looked away, saying that part is actually true. But he told her Palpatine was actually the Sith Lord that the Jedi were looking for. He was the one orchestrating the war. This was good news after all, and Padme would ask Anakin if he grabbed any of the security recordings from the office, or maybe a lightsaber Palpatine was using. Anakin stuttered over his words, saying that he didn't think of taking any proof. He was in a weird state emotionally. He was just hurrying out of the room when the clones came to confront him. Padme tried to say everything will be alright. They need to just get back to the office and find proof before it's too late. But then, the HoloNet screens around Coruscant began to flicker, and a live emergency broadcast of Vice Chair Mas Amedda began to appear. Anakin said he has a bad feeling about this, and Mas Amedda, in a somber tone, told the citizens of the Republic that Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker has assassinated Chancellor Palpatine, along with 4 Jedi, including Jedi Council Master Mace Windu. Amedda said investigations into the cause of this are still underway, but this assassination occurred in a meeting where Palpatine and the Jedi were discussing Palpatine's proclamation to end the war today. Unfortunately, it appears that Anakin was secretly a Separatist agent working to prolong this war. Mas Amedda then assured the citizens of the Republic that Anakin, along with anyone closely tied to him that may have been working with him, will be hunted down. Padme closed her eyes to gather herself. Then she told Anakin that he has to get out of here. She has a ship waiting on a landing pad that is ready to go. She will alert the crew to have it ready. Anakin told Padme to come with him. She is in danger as well, but Padme said she can't. She has to stay here, and she will work to clear his name. She told Anakin that she has to have the baby here on Coruscant as well, as she has enough allies to stay in the Senate. She asked Anakin to trust her, just like she has trusted him so many times before. Anakin turned back to the city to see the security all around, and he knew she was right. For her safety, and for everyone else, he had to get out of here. They shared what could be a final embrace, and Anakin sped off in Padme's speeder towards her landing pad. He was able to blend in with the traffic for just long enough, and as he arrived, the Naboo security held up their blasters, saying they're expecting Padme here, not him. Anakin just held up his lightsaber, telling the crew here it's not worth it, and he was able to climb the ramp. Anakin took off in the Royal Starship, and of course, one of the security members would alert the Coruscant Guard that they've found Anakin. The Jedi Knight flew the starship towards the sky, and appearing behind him were clone starfighters, accessing Anakin's comms to tell him to surrender or they will shoot. Anakin wasn't in a humorous mood at the moment, but he still allowed himself to say that there was no one in the galaxy who could shoot him down. Anakin then used evasive maneuvers to spin around heavy cannon fire, and he had a clear lane to escape the planet. Anakin began punching in coordinates for a random moon to just get out of here, but right before Anakin could pierce the clouds, he turned to his left to see an LAAT gunship flying straight to his blind side. The gunship slammed into the Naboo starfighter, and Anakin was thrown from the pilot's seat, crashing hard into the cockpit wall as the starfighter sputtered out and began to fall to the ground. Across the city, Padme had been watching the chase from her balcony. She saw the LAAT ship slam into Anakin, and she watched in a horrified silence as the damaged Naboo ship fell below the buildings. She closed her eyes, expecting to hear the explosion, but in the final moment, Anakin got back up into the seat, getting to the controls, blasting off back into the sky. Everyone was caught off guard by this, allowing Anakin to blast off into space and make the jump to hyperspace. Only one big problem. Every console in this ship was beeping rapidly, including the hyperdrive, but Anakin didn't have time to worry about it. He just made the jump, and as the blue tunnel of hyperspace came into view, Anakin breathed a sigh of relief, only for the beeping to get louder. As the hyperdrive suddenly shut off, Anakin was ripped out of hyperspace, the Naboo ship spinning out of control, and Anakin was sure that he used up all of his luck. At first, he thought he was alone in the middle of nowhere, with a ship being ripped apart, but suddenly, a moon of sorts seemed to appear out of nowhere, and a great white light engulfed Anakin as he closed his eyes, hoping to somehow survive whatever this was. Back on Coruscant, Padme was being ushered into the Senate halls for questioning. It was no secret that she and Anakin were friends, and somehow Anakin took her ship to escape. Her involvement in this was rather obvious, but by this point, Yoda, Obi-Wan, and other Council Jedi had returned to Coruscant. Senators like Bail Organa, Ryo-Chuchi, and Mon Mothma were wondering the truth about all of this. Mas Amedda would hold a meeting with these Jedi and Senators to tell them that he will be taking over the role of Chancellor in this time of crisis. Palpatine's murder by a Jedi cannot go without consequence, so the entire order must be investigated. Obi-Wan spoke up, saying he would very much like to see the security recordings, along with other evidence from the Chancellor's office. Yoda agreed with this, saying that the Jedi have reason to believe that Palpatine was a Sith Lord, working with Dooku and the Separatists. Mas Amedda would scoff at this notion, saying it's preposterous and these accusations only make the Jedi look more guilty. And unfortunately, Mas Amedda said that Anakin seems to have taken the recordings with him, or destroyed them altogether. Through the Force, Yoda and Obi-Wan locked eyes with an agreeing glance. It was obvious that Amedda was lying, and soon Amedda agreed to let Padme go, considering she was due to have a child any day now. And in the meantime, the Jedi Temple was to be locked down. As the war was coming to a close, all Jedi were to be called back to the temple, as the investigation into the Jedi involvement in Palpatine's murder was set to get underway. Ki-Adi-Mundi tried to protest, saying that 4 of their own were killed in the office. Surely that all points to Palpatine, but Amedda just said that those 4 Jedi may have been necessary sacrifices for Anakin's plot. The Jedi were then dismissed. Obi-Wan would tell Yoda they have to do something. They cannot allow Mas Amedda to get away with this. Yoda told Obi-Wan to have patience. A Jedi cannot be the one to investigate Mas with everything going on. But perhaps there is a citizen returning to Coruscant who can do what must be done. Ahsoka Tano had just returned to Coruscant with Maul in custody. The former Sith Lord was placed in the highest possible Republic security prison, and Ahsoka was free to go. But first, she would stop at the Jedi Temple, learning all about what happened with Anakin, and Yoda would ask for one more favor. With the Jedi under investigation, they need her, as an independent citizen, to track down Mas Amedda, locate the security recordings from Palpatine's office. Only then can the galaxy know the truth and have real peace. Ahsoka agreed to follow him for Anakin, and she didn't waste any time tracking down Mas Amedda. Meanwhile, somewhere far across the galaxy, Anakin was back in a familiar place. This was Mortis, and it all felt so different. The pulsing feeling of the Force still surrounded everything here, but there were no more gods. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka witnessed their end just around a year and a half ago, but voices of the past and present remained. Legends say that this was where the Force originated, and as Anakin climbed out of his broken-down Naboo starfighter, he wandered the area, wondering why he was sent here again. And as Anakin walked around, a figure began to manifest itself right in front of him. It was a ghostly figure made up of the light, the dark, and everything in between. It were as if the father, son, daughter, and another figure, even more powerful, had become one, and yet it couldn't fully manifest. This figure told Anakin that he's done it. He's fulfilled the prophecy and brought balance to the Force, and now he must keep the prophecy intact by choosing to stay here on Mortis, becoming the new avatar that keeps everything together. Allow him to merge with this figure. Anakin just awkwardly said he's not meant for this. He has a wife and child to get back to. Anakin turned away, heading back to the Naboo starfighter to try and begin fixing it. But then, this ghostly figure would lash out, using a wave of the Force to throw Anakin hard against the cave wall. The figure hissed, and its form twisted, revealing a woman with a smile etched across her face that gave Anakin a chill. She screamed out that she will not be kept here forever. Soon she will escape. The galaxy will be hers. She lashed out at Anakin once more, but this time, Anakin was ready. This place allowed Anakin to feel the Force unlike anywhere else in the galaxy. It allowed him to feel like the chosen one, and as the ghostly woman lashed out, Anakin used the Force to hold her in place, using a Force pulse to make the ghost figure disappear with a loud screech. She wasn't dead, but Anakin was able to hide her away for now. Whatever she was, Anakin wanted no part of it. He was beyond tired of prophecy and all the chosen one stuff. All he wanted was to be with his family. He hurried back to the ship, getting to work on repairs. Anakin worked without taking a break, trying to repair the ship, and eventually he felt another presence. Anakin turned, igniting his lightsaber, but it wasn't that woman anymore. It was Qui-Gon, coming to him as a Force ghost. And Qui-Gon told Anakin he has restored the light to this realm for the time being. After the death of the father, the son, and the daughter, the shackles to something dangerous was released into this realm, the one they call the Mother, and she's more dangerous than anything Anakin has ever seen before. Anakin said he understands, and he asked Qui-Gon for help to get out of here. Obviously, seeing Qui-Gon as a ghost was shocking, but this realm could no longer surprise Anakin. The ship was nearly repaired, and Qui-Gon said he will be Anakin's guide out of here. And back on Coruscant, Ahsoka Tano was moving through the vents of the executive building, following Mos Amina through the halls, until Mos entered a room that was heavily sealed. In this room was Slymore and other people that were in Palpatine.
Okay, this actually takes a very, very, very interesting turn. So Anakin clearly is still a Jedi. More like still Jedi. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Inner circle. Mos pulled out a recording from his robes, and he played it for everyone to see. All of them watched Palpatine swing a lightsaber around before spraying Force lightning at the Jedi, and they all watched Anakin cut down Windu and Palpatine. Mos said that the truth of this can never be allowed to escape the room. If the citizens of the galaxy see that Palpatine wielded a red blade like Dooku, then all of them are in trouble. And in the vents, Ahsoka was going to carefully lift the security disc out of here, when suddenly, a little rat creature snuck up behind her. She tried to shoo it away, but she made a racket, and Mos looked up, asking who's here. Ahsoka sighed, saying it's always the hard way. She dropped out of the vent,
Oh, come
lightsabers
on.
ignited.
Why are people every fucking time I panic and try to mute my mic. It's either someone's with the loudest fucking engine, loudest fucking exhaust, or blasting music that literally that people can hear 3 fucking buildings down the street. I don't fucking understand. And unfortunately, my stepdad was one of the people who blasted music out of his fucking car. And also, I heard that I could hear his music, say, about. I could hear his literally. Okay, so from one intersection to the next intersection was about 2 miles down. I could hear him blasting his music. It was so fucking loud. I don't understand. How could people blast their music out of their fucking car and not go fucking deaf from it? They probably are deaf. They probably are deaf. Deaf leaning. Oh. They probably are already going deaf in the first place from it. But it fucking infuriates me. And guess what? This happens every fucking night. That same motherfucker blasting his music every fucking night. Hell, even maybe 2, 3, 4 people every night blasting music, and also with loudest fucking cars racing down the street every fucking night. Hell, one time it happened in 4 in the fucking morning. 4 in the fucking. I woke up in a jolt because someone was blasting music so fucking loud, and their car was fucking loud as fuck. It pisses me the fuck off. And also, this is why whenever I'm not talking, whenever I'm not talking, I usually mute my mic just in case. Decided not to mute my mic because I thought I was safe, but no. Apparently, I'm never fucking safe. Ever, including for copyright from these motherfucking bullshit fucking people. Bullshit stupid ass motherfuckers blasting music that people can hear 3, 4, 5 buildings down the street. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate this area. Even though this is a safe space, people blasting their music down the fucking road. It fucking infuriates me.
And in less than a minute, everyone in here was knocked unconscious from her force powers. Ahsoka grabbed the disc, and by the time everyone woke up, the disc was in the hands of the senators and the Jedi working against them. As Mos, Slymore, and the others were leaving, they were promptly arrested for trying to cover this up. The people had the truth. Palpatine was working with Dooku to create this war. Anakin walked in on the Jedi fighting Palpatine, and Anakin, seemingly caught in a situation where he didn't truly know what was going on, diffused it by taking down Windu and Palpatine. Yoda and Obi-Wan were greatly disappointed by this, but upon further reviews of the footage, Yoda would see Mace Windu's face in his final moments as he watched Palpatine die. Windu was at peace, a small smile etched on his face as he fell, and Yoda knew his sacrifice was worth it. And out in the galaxy, Anakin would escape Mortis with the repaired ship. In space, Qui-Gon would thank Anakin, and Anakin wasn't sure what he did to be worthy of thanking, but the ghost just faded away, and Anakin was alone. In moments, his comms would light up, and Padme, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka were telling him all about what happened. Obviously, his striking down of Windu wasn't exactly loved by anyone, but Anakin was able to get away without jail time after explaining that he saw Mace committing treason. He didn't know what to choose, so he took them both out. Anakin was asked to take some time away from the Order as they figure everything out. Anakin was perfectly fine with this. He would be with Padme on Coruscant as she gave birth, and his nightmares would die with the Sith. Anakin would be truly happy to have the twins, and Padme would survive all of it. Time would go by as the Jedi and Republic were beginning to reform, and eventually Yoda would visit Anakin on Naboo as he was raising the children. The two of them would talk for a long time, all about Anakin's future, and eventually Anakin would tell Yoda about his time on Mortis at the end of the war. Anakin would mention the ghostly woman, and Yoda
Yeah, this kind of like a bittersweet story.
would put a hand to his chin, wondering if this was the legend of Abeloth. In old legends, she was rumored to have been entombed by the father, but with his death, it's possible she's finally escaped. Yoda said that the rumor says she can take many forms, but as long as she cannot escape Mortis, she is of no threat to the galaxy. He told Anakin that only he, the Chosen One, would have the power to see her at the stage and actually allow her to leave. Anakin was relieved to hear this. He didn't think she left with him, though everything was good. Yoda would go on to tell Anakin that striking down Mace was a bad choice, but in time, he will be allowed to return to the Order with the twins, if he so chooses. Anakin was grateful for this, and he would spend time with Padme, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Rex, and others as he prepared for the wonderful future with the twins as Jedi by his side. Padme was preparing to become Chancellor. He would be a Jedi again, and the Skywalker name would be one of light rather than darkness. And folks, that is our video for today. Do you want a part?
I actually like this a lot.
USS Thresher accident. It's April 10th, 1963. A brand new nuclear attack submarine slips beneath a cold Atlantic, 220 miles east of Cape Cod, starting routine deep dive trials with 129 souls aboard. Nothing about the ocean looks hostile until the boat goes quiet on the wire. At depth, a small failure becomes fatal. A silver brazed joint in a seawater system likely lets high-pressure ocean into the engine room. Water sprays, sensors trip, the reactor scrams, an automatic shutdown that kills propulsion at the worst possible moment. The hull is heavy. The ocean is heavier. The crew fights to rise.
Oofers.
Ballast tanks are ordered blown, but the high-pressure air is wet. Adiabatic cooling turns moisture to ice, choking valves and strainers. The blow doesn't clear enough water. The sub still sinks. Bow up, stern down, she slides tail heavy into black pressure. Above, the escort ship strains to hear status. Below, steel meets physics. Past crush depth, there is no more fighting. In milliseconds, the pressure hull collapses. Compartments implode faster than nervous signals can fire. Internal air heats and hammers. Bulkheads disintegrate, and bodies are subjected to forces no human can withstand. K141 Kursk, August 12th, 2000. A Russian.
Like, K141 Kursk. You are by here summoned to the office. Now be here within 5 minutes. I had to.
Russian Oscar II class submarine takes her place in a Barents Sea exercise. Inside the bow, a fuel-leaking practice torpedo begins to misbehave. The chemical reaction doesn't ask permission. It flashes. A first blast rips through the torpedo room, stuns the crew, shatters bulkheads, and floods forward compartments. 2 minutes later, the magazine cooks off. That second explosion, orders of magnitude larger, turns compartments into scrap. Fire, overpressure, and shrapnel kill most instantly. The bow is gone in all but name. The boat crashes to the seafloor at about 108 meters, hull twisted, systems dying. Aft, in the dock of compartment 9, a few survivors gather, maybe 23. They dog the watertight door, count heads, and wait. Battery power fades. The air thickens with smoke and moisture. Someone tries an oxygen generator, a candle meant to buy time, but seawater contaminates it. The chemical brick flares, spits molten fragments, and fills the space with carbon monoxide. Breathing becomes a fight they cannot win. Above, rescue plans stall. Russian mini-subs can't seal to a deformed hatch. Offers from Norway and Britain take days to clear. By the time divers finally open the boat, there's only cold and notepaper. No chance to get out. USS Scorpion accident, May 22nd, 1968. North Atlantic, southwest of the Azores. A tired but capable fast attack submarine heads home to Norfolk with 99 aboard. Routine status reports stop. The ocean, as always, keeps its own counsel. Something inside the boat turns small trouble into catastrophe. Investigators later debate the spark. A Mark 37 torpedo battery.
Can we have the Council of the Sharks? Community of Shillelagh, Megalodon, Saba, and basically all the shark VTubers having its own council.
In thermal runaway, a hot run weapon arming in the rack, a main battery gas event, or sudden flooding from a shaft seal or seawater line. Any of them could punch the same ticket. Loss of buoyancy, loss of power, loss of depth control. Picture the inside. Alarms, a hard down angle, crew racing compartments, trying to isolate the leak or secure the source. If a torpedo cooked off, overpressure and fire writ through the forward spaces. If flooding, the boat gains weight faster than pumps can lift. In either path, the ocean wins the timeline. Far away, hydrophone arrays register a rapid series of acoustic hits, structural failures stacked in seconds. Then, the signature nobody survives. Pressure hull collapse. At crush depth, steel folds like fabric. Soviet K-129 accident. March 1968, North Pacific, night water, cold and empty. A diesel-electric ballistic missile sub, K-129, slips under and vanishes between waypoints. Radio checks miss their mark. The ocean gives no reply. Inside, something goes wrong fast. One scenario, a snorkel valve fails during battery charge and green water rushes in. Another, an explosive event in the missile compartment, fuel, oxidizer, or a fire that cascades through wiring and air. Either path steals buoyancy, power, and air at once. The boat takes a down angle, light strobe. Men dog doors and spin valves trying to halt the gain in weight that the sea is adding by the ton. Depth eats seconds. If flooding isn't stopped, the submarine becomes heavier than the ocean can hold. Trim pumps can't keep up. Past safe depth, steel loses its margin. There is no time for maydays. Acoustic arrays later record a grim sequence. Structural failures in quick succession. Then the sound of a hull ending. At crush depth, compartments implode in milliseconds. Air superheats. Bulkheads shatter. Bodies suffer instantaneous barotrauma and blunt force trauma beyond survivability. For anyone not killed by the initial blast or flooding, the implosion closes the story. HMS Thetis accident, June 1st, 1939, Liverpool Bay. A brand new submarine goes to sea trials.
There's a submarine and there's a top marine, both in the military. Only one gets a bitch. Actually, both get bitches. One gets one bitch, and the other one gets multiple bitches. Maybe 20 at a time. Maybe 20 dozen, 30 dozen at a time.
Crowded with shipyard men and sailors, 103 aboard for a simple dive. In the bow, a torpedo tube check becomes a trap. A test cock on tube 5 shows dry, a sign that the outer bow cap is shut. It isn't. A block sensing hole lies. The inner door is cracked open, and the ocean answers. A geyser of green water blasts into the torpedo room. Men slam wheels, fight valves, but weight climbs by the ton. Thetis takes a sharp down angle, settles back.
Oofers, big oofers, triple oofers, over oofers, quadruple oofers, every kind of oofers, oofers, mega oofers, quadrillion oofers, infinity oofers.
Bow first into mud about 150 feet down. Watertight doors close. Forward compartments are lost. Aft, survivors huddle in stale air and wait for help they can hear but not cannot summon. On the surface, the stern protrudes above chop, agonizingly close. Rescue tries lines, hoses, a bell. Fittings don't match. Night falls. Inside, chemical scrubbers struggle. Oxygen candles can't keep pace. Carbon dioxide climbs. Headache, burning lungs, confusion. The escape trunk is readied. 4 men reach daylight using Davis gear. The rest cannot cycle through before the air turns thick and black with CO2. Chinese submarine number
Bloopers.
361, April 2003, Yellow Sea. A diesel-electric Ming-class boat disappears during a silent exercise east of the Changshan Islands. No mayday, no pings, just a periscope later found drifting, and a hull towed home with everyone still at their stations. Inside, the timeline is brutal. To recharge batteries while submerged, the crew brings a diesel online and raises the snorkel, but the intake doesn't open properly. Mechanical fault, bad seal, or misset valve, and the engine keeps running anyway. A diesel is a lungs with teeth machine. It pulls oxygen from wherever it can. In a sealed submarine, that wherever is the crew's air. The atmosphere turns hostile in minutes. Oxygen drops. Carbon dioxide climbs. Heads pound. Vision narrows. Fine motor turns sloppy. Someone reaches for emergency gear, but there's no fire to fight. Only air turning into the enemy. Negative pressure builds, making outward opening hatches clamp even tighter. When fishermen spot the idle periscope and authorities finally board, they find what the atmosphere already decided. ARA San Juan accident. An Argentine TR-1700 class sub is homeward bound off Patagonia with 44 aboard when her last routine message arrives. Seawater has leaked through the snorkel, shorting the forward battery bank and causing smoke. The crew isolates it and shifts to aft batteries. Then the ocean goes quiet. 30 minutes become an hour of decisions under pressure. If the E-19 snorkel valve didn't seal, more water can reach electrical gear. Hydrogen from damaged batteries can accumulate. Any fire or blackout robs the boat of propulsion and buoyancy. A down angle develops that trim pumps can't beat. Depth turns seconds into physics. At 1351 UTC, 2 CTBTO hydroacoustic stations hear a sharp underwater impulsive event near the sub's last known position. An acoustic signature consistent with a sudden catastrophic end. A private seabed team finds her broken on the Atlantic floor. Evidence of a rapid collapse at depth, not a slow fight for air. If you enjoyed this animation, please subscribe for more.
Alright. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Alright, chat. I'm gonna end up today's stream here. I want to say thank you everyone for joining today's stream. My name is Brain Blitz. I stream a lot. I stream a bunch of video games that chat suggests me. I also draw art. I do programming, and at some point, I hope sometime next year that I'll be able to start streaming 3D modeling to everyone here. And that being said, fuck, I am so fucking tired. Shit. And that being said, I hope everyone's day, evening, night time zone is going well. And make sure you eat, make sure you hydrate, make sure you relax, and make sure you use the restroom. Please, alright? Quickly, I'm gonna quickly see if I can go and have a raid someone real quick. My for Twitch chat, basically. My Twitch blitzies, I'm gonna yeet you into someone else's stream, alright? Alright, let me to do this real quick. There we go. Alright, Twitch Blitzies, I'm gonna be yeeting you to someone else's stream. And for everyone else, thank you for joining today's stream. And thank you for watching today's YouTube VOD. It's and I just love these moments of just being calm, chilling, just having fun, watching YouTube and whatnot. And make a bunch of a bunch of rated M jokes. Rated M for mature. Anywho, I gotta get going now, and my Twitch Blitzies, hang on for a moment. I'm gonna yeet you into someone else's stream, alright? Matane.